This episode is powered by Anivia Pickleball. Based in the heart of Vancouver, BC, whether you're new to the game or a seasoned vet, they have the paddle for you. I myself am currently using their Voltex Gen 3 Pro, which comes in both mid and lightweight. A big thank you for the team at Anivia for taking a chance on me in this podcast. And for listeners of the podcast, if you enter AGorman15 at checkout, you get 15% off. Check out Anivia.com now. That's AGORMAN 15 at checkout. On with the show. All right, everyone, we are back after one heck of a weekend in Edmonton. How are you, Victor?
Oh, it was great. That weekend was unexpected. Definitely unexpected that we were having so much fun, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was a total blast. We got to do a lot of stuff that I didn't think we were going to get to do. So,
Oh, guarantee. I was thinking I was just there, just watching a match, and nope, it was something else, right?
yeah, absolutely. And the bonus was every single match was good. Like there was one
Oh, yeah.
that kind of ended on a whimper a little bit, but other than that, like everything was really, really good.
There, both of them, even though maybe the match number looks like it's not tight, it's actually pretty tight. Like
Oh yeah.
if you look at it, so which is great. That's what you want in the playoff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you don't want any real big blowouts in the playoffs. Absolutely.
Mhm.
All right, so we'll start with day one. So for those of you who didn't keep up with our Instagram posts or the last podcast, day one was actually they did a pool play round robin for the bottom 6 teams. So the Rollers and the Lions finishing 1 and 2, they got a bye all the way to the what was it, quarterfinals?
Yeah, it was quarterfinals.
All the way to the quarterfinals in the bracket. So they didn't have to play at all. So that's a huge advantage coming in first and second in the league. So the way they divided it up is the pool one was the third ranked Brewers, the fourth ranked Toronto United, and the eighth ranked Vancouver Rush. Pool two was the fifth ranked West Coast Wolverines, sixth ranked Smash, and the seventh ranked Pronghorns. So basically, what it was is each you play each team once. The top 2 teams advance to the bracket. The other 2 teams get knocked out. So very similar to like kind of like the play-in concept that the NBA does for those like final spots there in the bracket.
Yep.
So the pool play went. I thought it went really, really well. Like we were saying, pretty much every match was super, super competitive. I got to give a big shout out to the Vancouver Rush. Even though they went 0-2. They literally forced a dream breaker in both matches they were in, and were literally like 1 or 2 points away from getting into the bracket and upsetting the Brewers and the Toronto United.
Yeah, they're super close. They really did their job. They really show like, yeah, we're the X seed, but we're not gonna go down without a fight.
Absolutely, and I'm like, and there was a few decisions that they made in the lineup in the first game. I really like the fact that they put in Jonas and Eugene together.
Yeah,
I would have also liked to see Sabrina Lamb go in with Jordan. I think that might have tipped the scales a little bit because where they suffered in that particular match when they played the Brewers was their women's match and then their second mixed pairing. And especially because it was Mac and Sophia, Sabrina plays with Mac on the regular at tournaments, so they're already familiar with each other, right? So that would have, I think that would have tipped the scales a little bit. Now when it came down to the singles, the Brewers women are just way too strong in comparison. So the Brewers ended up winning that one. For their second game against Toronto United, they made the switch and they brought Sabrina in, and then like Sabrina played really, really well. Brett Forsyth went in for Jonas. And then kind of the same thing. I kind of would have liked And then Brett played with Sabrina instead of Sabrina playing with Eugene. I would have rather seen Brett play with Jordan and Eugene play with Sabrina. I think those pairs would have worked better because Brett had played with Jordan through the whole season when he was in, right? It was an interesting take taking Jonas out because he did go 2-0 in the men's match and the mixed match when he played in that first game. But
even during the Dream Breaker, he was playing well. So
yeah, right. So once you lose one, you kind of like, okay, well, we have nothing to lose. Let's throw something at the wall and see what sticks, especially when you were going in there kind of with, I don't want to say low expectations, but like it's going to be tough type of thing to win. So I wasn't too upset about those decisions, but it's like when, hindsight is 2020. So I would have had Sabrina in that first game. You might have been able to steal a win there and not have gone to the Dream Breaker, or at least put up a little bit of better fight on the women's and that second mixed doubles match. And then on the second one, I would have flipped the mixed teams at least. If you're gonna keep Jonas out and put Brett in, I would have flipped the mixed teams, have Brett with Jordan and Eugene with Sabrina, and I think those would have made a little bit better doubles pairs.
No, I agree. Some really questionable decision in there, and then I think that unfortunately cost them the two games because if they make what you said, they probably would steal at least one of the matches, and then unfortunately because of it, they lost two in Dream Breaker because of it.
Yeah, but yeah, like we said, like such a good fight. Go there's nothing you can be super upset about when you go out in two Dream Breakers against two teams that are like you had to play the third and the fourth ranked teams.
Yeah,
and you're the eighth seed, so like, hey, that was a good fight. Brewers went 2-0. They beat Toronto United pretty handily. They did lose the oh my god, I can't speak. They did lose the men's match. But on their mixed and then on their women's, the women's was close because it was Carolina and Joanna, which I thought was an interesting switch up, taking Sneha out. I think they were trying something, but yeah, like the Amanda Victoria win that, and then they win both mixed matches to win it 3-1. So Brewers move on, Toronto United moves on. Pool 2, Wolverines took out the Pronghorns. Same thing, pretty handily.
Basically, everyone is 1-1 in that pool, basically.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, so yeah, this is the interesting with this one. So everyone was 1-1, but due to match win and loss, the Smash end up getting eliminated. So the Wolverines beat the Pronghorns beat the Smash, and the Smash beat the Wolverines. So it was interesting. However, the problem is because the Pronghorns swept the Smash 4-0.
Yeah,
the Smash literally had to sweep the Wolverines, and that is a tall task with how well the Wolverines were playing up to this point. Kim and Christina did their job and won the women's one, but then Nathan and Dalbeer, there was a big disconnect this weekend with the two of them.
Yeah, it was ouch.
But it's been kind of this playoff thing was kind of a microcosm of how that season has been going for the Smash. They have such high potential, but are never able to string together a really good match. Like the only time they did that was at the Central Split, where they went 6-4, and even 6-4 in comparison to when other teams went on big runs, it was like 7-3, 6-3, 7-2, right? Like it was. Like you have Kim Layton and Christina Chin, the best women's doubles team in the league. Like they literally went like 23-5 or whatever it was in their women's matches during the season. However, in that Pronghorns game, they lost to they lost because they got swept 4-0, and they shouldn't have lost that. Like,
no, it was close, and just
it was close, and that's no shot at Kim, Brent, and Emily, but Christine and Kim should win that 99 times out of 100.
Yeah.
Right. So the fact that they lost that, you're already down one when you're usually like, okay, normally when you're playing women's first, men's second, you're like, okay, at worst case scenario, we're going to be 1-1 because we pretty much have almost a guaranteed win with Christina and Kim playing.
Yeah.
And like we said, Delbert and Nathan didn't have a good weekend. I don't know what it's been this season with Dalbeer, but he's been very. If you compare him from last year he was so emotionally invested He got himself amped up, and this year I saw a lot of like not that.
Yeah, he's a little disinterested for some reason.
Yeah, and I don't even want to say disinterested because that sounds like he doesn't care, and I know he does, but it's kind of like when you're used to seeing a player who fuels off emotion, and you're
Hmm.
not seeing the emotion as much. That's where it's like, yeah, it almost gives that vibe of disinterest, but it's like, okay, what's going on? So I don't know if it's surrounding factors outside of pickleball or what, but it's always seems to be. And then that also plays into Nathan's performance, where Nathan feeds off of his partner's energy, right?
Yeah,
Like he's kind of like a really good hype man who also plays really well. But like if you're hyped, he's hyped and he keeps hyping you up as it goes. Like when you saw him play really well when he was either playing with Christina or Kim, he's hyping them up.
yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
And that was the other thing. They couldn't really figure out their mixed pairs. They started at the season with Nathan and Christina, Kim and Dalbeer. And then one team would win, the other team would lose. The very next game would be flipped. They tried changing it up with Nathan playing with Kim and Dalbeer playing with Christina. It would be the same thing. One team would win, the other team would lose. They could
Yeah,
never.
there's no consistency,
Yeah, they
basically.
weren't. Yeah, that was their biggest problem. They weren't consistent. So once the men's lost that game against the Wolverines, even though they went on to win both mixed matches, it technically was a formality just to play those matches because they were already eliminated via math.
Yeah, they're out basically.
Right. So Smash it ends early. I know that's disappointing for all those players, like I said, especially when you have Kim and Christina, where you're like, okay, well, we can pretty much start every game up 1-0 because we have Kim and Christina, and that's the women's.
Hmm.
Right? Like we said, out of 28 possible wins on the women's side, they went 23-5 or something.
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah,
Like clearly the best female team, but that's why you play the games.
yeah, it's just too
If it was,
bad. And at
if
the
it, was-
same
if it
time,
was all in paper, but yeah, so
yeah,
a little disappointing.
and then the other thing is I felt feeling just Nathan and Dabir are not in sync of each other. There are so many like the middle ball. There's just a lot of like who's taking that, and then they either clash paddle or they missed it or they're late to react to that one. And
Yeah.
especially this weekend, like we saw like a good chunk of them, and they're like, oh my god, what's going on? You guys have been playing whole season and still haven't figured out.
Yeah, and it was like they couldn't decide who was left and who was right. Like every split, you'd see them kind of change it up, and no one really could take charge on left. No one really took charge taking the right. Like, you know what I mean? It was like it was almost like you stuck two left-handed side players together,
Mm-hmm.
and neither one liked being the right.
One, two, yeah, exactly. No,
Yeah,
no
and
one wants.
then and I know that's not the case because like last year Nathan played right majority of the season and then switched over to left like at the very end and played really well. And I know Del Beer kind of I think played left a little bit of left and right last season. So it was just I don't know. Yeah, it's just something didn't work well. It was they were just very inconsistent. But yeah, so the Wolverines and the Pronghorns move on. Wolverines, I think, had the better matches for and against, so they got like the top. Or no, and so yeah, so basically what happened is after that day, they did a reseed. So the bracket reseeded every time you moved up. So no matter what, if you were for example, because the Pronghorns made it through as seventh, no matter what, they were going to play the highest seed in whatever spot on the bracket they were on. So when we moved to day two, so Rollers and Lions still don't have to play yet because they're in the quarters. So
Yeah.
you had the matchups of the Prairie Pronghorns versus the Brewers and Toronto United versus the Wolverines. Um, Toronto United put on it. It was weird because like Matt. So they started with mixed pairings. I think. One second, I'm just gonna double check my notes here.
I think so. I'm pretty sure it was they started with mix. You're right, which is kind of a little questionable. Like, why did you do that?
Yeah, they started with mixed pairings.
Unless
Um,
you're
well,
like
and
very
one
sure about
the,
yourself.
the way Sneha and Matt had been playing together, I think you can at least come out of that 1-1. You had Mark and Joanna versus Joelle and Ava. 21-13 for Joelle and Ava. I'll give Ava Weeks a crap ton of props. She came to play this playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, I know she was started with the Rush at the beginning of the season. Didn't get a lot of floor time because you had the Jordan and Sophia team up. Once she got traded to the Wolverines for the very last splits, you could see it moving forward. But then the playoffs is really when she came into her own. She was locked in.
Yeah, she came to play. She
Yeah.
was not flopping.
So yeah, so you had a 21-13 win for the Wolves. Joelle and Ava over Mark and Joanna. But then Matt and Sneha come back and take out Haddo and Natalie 21-16. So kind of even there with the mixed wins. Like so one team wins 21-13, one team wins 21-16.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had Natalie and Ava beat Sneha and Joanna 21-13. That was a surprise because when they played those pairings in the season, they were a lot closer. But Natalie was just a firecracker in that match. Like really good decisions on her speed ups. Ava was blocking everything Sneha and Joanna could throw at them. And I think one of the big things here is with Sneha and Joanna, there wasn't someone who was really an attack-oriented player. They're both very defensive.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like, and I know Carolina Hack. It's funny because we ran into her at the thing, and she's like, "Oh, I'm not playing very good," but it was more so. It looked more like of a confidence issue than an actual. No, Carolina, you're still a very very good player. Like, you know what I mean? But I would have liked to see Carolina go in there just because it gives you someone who's going to hard drive, get some
But
slam.
someone just have a little bit of more kind of we call almost like a veteran experience
Yeah,
compared to Joanna and Sneha, which is they're pretty rookie into the game. And the other problem we kind of discussed during the stream, they have trouble moving up to that kitchen line, and that's a problematic when you're not able to be steadily on the kitchen line. The other team's going to punish you.
yeah, exactly right. So it was just they couldn't really get their footing, getting up there. So yeah, so then Wolverines go up 2-1, and then you have the men's match, Joel and Haddo versus Matt and Mark. This was really an even match, and then Joel and Haddo pull out the 21-18 win. Like the big thing is right around the very end, there was a line call slash didn't hit the person because we watched the replay, but Joel and Haddo argued to the ref that the ball hit Mark, but if it didn't hit Mark, they said it still landed in or something like that. And you could see that rattled Mark a bit. And yeah, just so and like because me and Victor saw the replay because they did the shout out to the replay crew. They did a very good job at finding that play and showing
They slowed down right away.
And it clearly
right
did. Yeah, and so the referee made the right call, but every now and then when someone questions your own call, even if the referee confirms it, for some people that can shake a bit. We do know that there were some outlying circumstances with that. We're not going to get into that because that's more of like grapevine water cooler talk.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so when that match ended, Mark looked a little bit rattled, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Wolverines win 3-1, so they move up. And they have to play and depending on who wins the next match, they either have to obviously play the Rollers or they have to play the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
So the next match we had the Brewers versus the Pronghorns, and
that was a sweep.
It was a full sweep. Victoria and Amanda were locked in, beating Kim and Emma 21-14.
Yeah, that match, like I will say that was a little probably kind of the match that was not as close at that as we looked at.
Yeah, I was expecting that to be like a 21-19 and 20-20, and it could have gone either way.
Mm-hmm. No, the Victoria and Amanda just
they were just they were honestly locked in this whole weekend. They played very very well. Brad and Mike versus Mark and Mikkel. Close match, 21-19 for Mark and Mikkel win. So once again, that match could have kind of gone either way. Brad did switch paddles.
That was a very
one. He was playing with a Selkirk paddle day one, but then he switched to Eula. Victor, you chatted with him about this. I'll let you kind of get this backstory on that.
Yeah, that was a very questionable decision. So what happened is apparently the Calgary Pickleball Center now have instead of getting Skelkert as their sponsor. Now they have Yola as their sponsor. So Brad said that he had that paddle, the Yola mod, the TA15, the hot paddle, that's what we call that. And for some reason, he said the day one he wants to use it, but he was not completely confident to use it. So on day two, he did. I saw him practice with that paddle extensively, and then he made the decision to use it. But however, those two paddles are like completely opposite of each other. The Selkirk Vanguard control is like a real control paddle. Like even you drive the ball is not really going compared to that the Yola Mod TA15. That thing goes like a super poppy paddle. That thing goes into the rocket mode. So you're like, wow, like, and especially with Brad playing style, right? You see the Brad plays as like the control game, the patient game. Suddenly, you throwing that paddle into him, like on that match, on the men's match that which they lost 21-19. The last point showed that he lost control of the because of the paddle. Like you can see that he's usually that backhand roll is so steady. He just popped
Yeah.
that ball
And,
up like all the way in almost 2-3 feet down the base beyond the baseline, which you never see. So
yeah,
you're like,
right, exactly.
so you're like, what happened? And then also I took a quick look also his paddle setup. He just put a little bit of lead tape on the throat of the paddle. I think that could be the problematic because that's where you usually when a paddle is super powerful, you put some lead tape mostly on the throat in order to try to control the paddle and also at the same time um, whiting the sweet spot of the paddle. Another thing also is we call that changing the balance of the paddle. Instead of the power going all the way to the top of the paddle, now the powers go all the way more towards like the center of the paddle. So I would say he should have maybe put even more lead tip if he could have done it. And at the same time it was a little questionable why like you change battle the next day and the next day it matters, right? You lose is pretty much over.
Yeah, exactly. So it was, yeah. So like that being said, like we said, it was still a close match, but you could see, yeah, you could see that there was a couple shots that Brad made where they were uncharacteristic or an uncharacteristic pop up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Still a very, very good match. And then this was smart by because the Brewers were the higher seed, so they got to pick the matchups.
Yep.
They had Mark and Amanda go against Mike and Emma. So they
Yeah.
basically put their first pairing against the other team's second pairing,
Yeah.
and it showed. Like Mike and Amanda played okay, Mike and Emma played okay, and Emma was actually playing really, really good on the Saturday. Like I
Mhm.
thought she stole
Oh,
quite a few points.
she did her job. She
And
definitely did her job.
but yeah, this one they weren't quite in sync enough, and the way Mark and Amanda had been playing all weekend, yeah, you weren't going to win this one. So 21-14 final score. So the Brewers move on. So because the Brewers are the third seed and the Wolverines are the fifth seed, the Wolverines have to play the Rollers and the Brewers have to play the Lions.
Yeah. I might just want to, if you don't mind, chime quickly back to that paddle. Brad should have also picked another paddle that, like Yola has so much other paddle. Why did you go all the way to the poppiest paddle possible? Like Kim is also using a paddle which is the Gen 2, so the Scorpius or the Perseus Gen 2. They're not as poppy. They're much more controllable. Why didn't he pick up that paddle rather than go to the poppiest paddle possible that is existent in the game? So which is very questionable.
Yeah. And who knows? It might have just been the paddle they sent him. I'm not sure. Like I know I get sent all the different paddles from Anivia here. And there's like the one I use is what would be it's kind of like a combination of power and control, but then like their other one, which is like this one here behind me, this one has a little bit more pop to it. So it's
Mhm.
more and it's elongated. And then the newer blue one that I have, that one also has a little bit more pop to it as well. But because I'm more of a control player, I stick with the one that kind of does the combination of both, right? So, and like for those of you who are like, okay, well, how much difference does a paddle make? If you're not used to switching paddles, unlike Victor who plays with 6 or 7, it makes a huge difference,
Oh,
especially if you're going from a paddle that is more control, more resetty, to one that will power up your drive and stuff, right? So it changes how you hit the ball, like, and like if you haven't played like a couple of weeks with it, to adjust how, like, okay, I don't have to push as much with this one, or I don't have to flick as much with this one. It has a huge effect on there.
oh yeah, definitely. So yeah, I'm the unique one that can change paddle like in mid game, and not suggesting everyone to do that, but it works for me.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so with those 2 wins, so this is a double elimination bracket. So the Pronghorns and Toronto United drop down to the B side of the bracket. Wolverines play the Rollers, and this was probably, if you're looking for highlight reel material, probably the most highlight material worthy match. Like, there was so many rallies in this game that could have, like I said, like the ESPN like top 10 or whatever, you could fit
Oh,
a full
they're there.
you could fit a full 10 in there from this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so they started off with the women, and a big gamble here by the Rollers. They put in Tara DiGiuseppe over Casey Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Victor had kind of discussed this on the last podcast. Like, Tara was playing really, really good in the West split. She actually went like 9-2 or something like that. And Casey had been not struggling in the women's because she's playing with Jess, but her and Matt Sadola had been struggling a little bit in the mixed, right? So, and Tara had played pretty well with Matt at the Western split. So you're just like, okay, do you go with the known quantity who's performed at high level with Casey, or do you kind of go with the hot hand rookie with Tara, right? And so it was funny because I said to Corey Osborne, who was Corey is the third male, but he's also kind of like the player coach sort of thing on this team. And I was like, okay, you're either going to look like a genius or everyone's going to roast you after this match is over, right? So, and it kind of started off a little weird because Jess and Tara lost to Natalie and Ava 21-20, and Natalie and Ava were actually down by 5. They were down 19-14 at one point. Yeah. They battled back, kept getting using the freeze to their advantage, and then ended up winning 21-20. So I would call that an upset, especially when you have Jessica Kawamoto on the other side.
Oh yeah, that's definitely an upset. That was definitely an upset.
Right, so that puts a big favor in the Wolves going into the men's, but then Ryan and Matt freaking locked in. Ryan Torrance literally looked like a Terminator, like literally like this unstoppable force who is not going to be denied. And I thought like the hand battles and the rallies in this were insane, but it was a 21-12 win over Joelle and Haddo, which was like when you looked at the score, you're like, oh wow, that's a blowout. But like when you watch the match.
No, it was a good match.
It was such a good match, right? And then so then
you look at it, you feel like Ryan, like he's all attacking at the same level as Matt Clemenson, but from the left, basically.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like it was unreal to watch. And then probably one of my favorite matches of the weekend, you had Jess and Ryan versus Joelle and Ava in the mix. And once again, the final score was 21-14. Yeah. You watched this match and it did not look like that at all. There was so many good firefights. Ava beat Ryan in a couple firefights. There was one that probably had, I don't know, about 35, 40 hits in this. And it went slow, fast, and then finished off with a firefight between Ryan and Ava ended up winning that. Like this was also one of the most viewer in person people there, because the Rollers always have a big following that travel. Shout out Mama Kawamoto with bringing the troops with her. But then because you have so many local Albertans on this team, you had a lot of Wolverine fans in the crowd too, and the entire crowd got up and applauded after that. Like, even the players were applauding each other after that particular rally. Like, this was highlight reel material this entire match. Jess and Ryan pull out the 21-14 win. Then it came down to Matt and Tara versus Natalie and Haddo. And I'm gonna give Tara big props here. She was making some killer shots. And like and Matt was his usual like steady self, really good drives and stuff. But after that women's loss where they kind of blew that lead, I wasn't sure how Tara was going to respond. And then she just put the pedal to the metal, got some really good slam finishes, some really good blocks from drives from Hato and Natalie. And they won 21-15. So they win 3-1 to move on to the semis.
Yep.
But yeah, so great. It was like we said, like it was 21-15, 21-14, 21-12 for the wins for the rollers. But when you watch the matches, it looked so much closer.
Yeah, I feel much closer,
Yeah,
definitely.
the rallies had such good quality. Like if this would have been like traditional pickleball, this would have looked more like an 11-9, 12-10 type game, right? But because rally scoring and someone gets a point no matter what, that's where one team kind of pulls away because these rallies were amazing, but they just happen to be on the winning side of that rally, right?
Yeah, definitely, and yeah, definitely pops to Tara. She definitely shows up, and then she actually basically, I don't want to say the word overpower, but she really got ahead of Natalie on that mixed match,
Yeah.
and you can see she can handle Halo well, and actually even counter attacking pretty well on that match. I think that make a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so then we move on to the second quarterfinal match, Lions versus the Brewers. And the interesting thing about this is that the Brewers kind of had the Lions number all season. Even though the Lions were the number 2 seed, when you go back and look at the stats, the Brewers were actually giving the Lions a lot of trouble throughout the season. And then so you start with the women's match, a 21-20 finish, and I would call this an upset for Anne Sophie and Jade Cassandra over Amanda and Victoria.
Oh yeah, that was an upset.
Yeah, right. Like, and
definitely agree with you.
And what I really liked that Anne Sophie and Jay did is they didn't really ice Amanda out, but they weren't giving her a lot of touches. And it's not that Victoria is a slouch, but Amanda tends to play better the more touches she gets. Like it's almost like she's like a stove, and like the more touches she gets, the hotter and hotter and hotter it gets, type of thing. But yeah, so they kept it close. And then they pulled out to I think they were up 2019. The Brewers tie it up, but then they break serve and then they get the 21-20 win. So that's an upset right off the hop. So they're up 1-0 at that point. And then we go on to the men's. And once again, this was a really good match. But at this point, Ernesto and Luis Charles would not be denied. This was another one where it was 21-16 was the final score, but it was one of those ones where it looked super even the whole way through. But they started to pick on Mikkel a little bit. And they were putting it on an angle where Mark couldn't really come over and do his typical like backhand poach or backhand step in and kind of reset the rally.
Yeah, well,
and then Mark started to cheat over a little bit, and I know Luis Charles caught him a couple of times, hitting it to that empty spot on the court, right? So, but yeah, they were just locked in that game. And then you had,
to be honest with you, also Ernesto's backhand is like the backhand slice. It was so good, like it was pushing Mikkel like out wide. There's no way that Mark can poach it, and he was doing this so consistently that there's no answer to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Mikkel was even stepping back from the kitchen because he was trying to goat them into hitting more to the middle because he had stepped back so that way Mark could come in. But like Ernesto wasn't having any of that. He kept on going wide, wide, wide. And then there was a couple there where Mikkel just popped it up, and then you just have LC there with
exactly. LC just waiting
with the slam finish, right? So yeah, so they go up. So they go up 2-0, and then you have Ernesto and Anne versus Mark and Amanda, and super close match.
Yeah.
But Ernesto and Anne pull out the 21-18 win. And I thought in this one, Mark kind of over poached a little bit too much to the point where he almost started icing out Amanda. And you could see him, and then all of a sudden Amanda would get a couple shots at her, and she's kind of not ready, right? Like there was a couple of shots where she's like normally if she was engaged a little bit more engaged in the match, she'd be powering that back down at someone, but she put quite a few of them into the net there. I think it was more so because she wasn't getting the touches that she would normally get.
Yeah, that could be it too. And for the whole weekend, sometimes, especially her speed up, what she had made a lot of questionable speed up, and that ended into the net like most of the time, like just those like volley off bounce speed up. Like she should have waited that for an extra dink. No, she's going for it like me and you were looking at. Oh my god, another one that dumped it into the net.
Yeah.
So
We were even saying on the commentary, we're like, oh, a little bit more patience with that. Like, do like one or two more and then go for it. Like, it was almost like, but I think that also equates to her not getting that many touches. It's like, okay, I have to make something happen now,
yeah, that
type
could
of
be
thing. Right?
that could be it too. And then, also, well, the other end, they're trying to uh ice out Ernesto, and then at the end, Ernesto say, "No, that's it. I'm poaching," and then he's coming in, and then that, yes, that make a difference, but also Anne Sophie also being more engaged, and now she's battling Amanda instead of trying to dink back towards Mark, because Mark is on the right, and you have Amanda on the left, so therefore Anne Sophie is actually right in front of Amanda. So now she said, okay, screw it, I'm gonna speed up down the line instead. So there, now she's battling Amanda, and she's winning most of the fight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This match and Sophie was really locked in as well. So yeah, so Montreal Lions win 3-0. So yeah, and once you get into bracket, guys, you don't have to play all four matches. Once one team gets to three, the match is over and you move on. So yeah,
Yeah,
so
but
semifinals
that
are
doesn't matter anymore.
so semifinals are set. You have the Rollers versus the Lions. So then the Brewers and the Wolverines drop over to the B side, and there is still a reseeding. So then we basically get a rematch of what happened earlier in the brackets. So Pronghorns versus Brewers again, Lions versus Toronto United again.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So for Pronghorns versus Brewers, same lineup for the Pronghorns. The Brewers, though, make a change and they take out McKell and they put Kyle Hermetz in. Right. I don't know if McKell maybe was maybe feeling a little bit down for that men's match that happened against the Lions, but they make the change, and him and Kyle have been kind of swapping in and out throughout the season. Kyle's a
Mm-hmm.
lot more of an aggressive player, whereas McKell is kind of like that defensive specialist type deal. Right. So it's just adds a different look for the Pronghorns. So women's match starts up. You got Emma and Kim, Amanda Victoria. Emma and Kim lock it in on this one and get the 21-17 win. This is probably, I would say in a while, probably Kim and Emma's kind of best match that I've seen them play, aside from the one where they upset Christina and Kim Lane, because they've been kind of inconsistent the last split or two. Like they'll have a really on one or a really off one, but then they kind of make up for it in the mix. But this one, they were locked in and they pull out that 21-17 win.
Yep, exactly. They did play very well, because Kim, for she didn't play well for the day one, but day two she's starting to pick up the pace.
Yeah. And then you got the men's match, and it's Mark and Kyle versus Brad and Michael. Mark and Kyle win 21-17. And I honestly think the change up from Kyle to McKell threw Brad and Michael for a little bit of a loop, because now you have two guys who want to speed it up at you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Brad and Michael were so willing to just, we'll dink back and forth with McKell. We know Mark's going to try and step in, but now we're going to try and capitalize on that. Whereas now it's like, no, Kyle's going to speed it up at you. Mark's going to speed it up at you, right? So I think they got caught off guard with that. So Mark and Kyle get the win, 21-17.
And the other thing also, I feel Mark was making a lot of unforced errors. Like there were so many service error from that match, that just for run scoring you have service error.
You mean
give it Mark McCaffrey. Sorry, Michael.
Okay,
Sorry.
yeah, I heard Mark, so that's why. No worries.
My bad. My bad. That's my bad. We'll rewind. Here we go.
There's a lot of M's in this league.
Yeah,
so.
there's too much M's. Yeah, exactly. Michael, Michael is making so much unforced errors, especially on the service. He's making at least 2 to 3 service error, and that you're basically throwing the 3 points away to your opponent.
Yeah, every time there's a
Roddy
serve,
trying.
you're basically doing a 2 point, 2 or 3
Yeah,
points.
for Roddy scoring, it hurts. It hurts bad
Yeah,
when it happens. It's not like regular scoring. Yeah, that's okay. You didn't make a point, but you not didn't give a point either. But Roddy scoring is automatic, so it's like a double-edged sword. Yeah, you want to serve big, but if you serve big, you go out or whatever, you lose the point automatically, and give your opponent those points automatically. And sometimes the momentum can shift because of it.
yeah, exactly. And then I would say this is one of the biggest upsets of probably the entire playoffs. Kyle and Victoria take out Brad Chapman and Kim Brent,
Mhm.
21-20.
Agree.
Not just because they're a very good mixed doubles team, but also just experience wise. You have two rookies, who are very inexperienced. But man, did Kyle and Victoria lock this in? They kept it close. They got to 20-20 and pulled out the 21-20 win. I got nothing but good things to say about how they played. Like that's a tough matchup.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm actually impressed that the Brewers were so confident in that pairing because once again, the Brewers got to pick the lineup for this,
Yeah.
right? So the fact that they were like, okay, you know what, we're gonna send Kyle and Victoria in to take on Brad and Kim. Mark and Amanda are gonna take Mike and Emma. Um, yeah, they were just and I know they were probably like, okay, well, if they lose and we go to Dreambreaker, we probably have the advantage with Dreambreaker, but still having the confidence in them to win that is huge,
It's
and
huge.
that's props to Kyle and Victoria. And then you have
And
Mike and Emma versus Mark and Amanda, and it was kind of the same story as the last time they played. Just Mark and
same
Amanda
thing.
were just way too locked in.
Same thing. And then Mark just poaching as needed, and then it's game over.
Yeah, exactly. Then we move on to the United versus the Wolves. This time,
Yeah, the Pronghorns got eliminated, unfortunately, because of that match.
oh
So
yeah, Pronghorn. Yeah, so that's the second loss. So double elimination bracket. Pronghorns are out. Brewers move on. And then you have Toronto United versus the Wolves. This time did not go as well for Toronto United, at least on the mixed side. And actually, and
it
because
went actually worse
Toronto
in
United,
theory.
there's a very questionable lineup decision here, and
Mhm.
it's not the main one. It's not the personnel one. It's the lineup decision for who plays who.
Yeah.
That I was very curious about. Um, you got Sneha and Joanna in for the women.
Mhm.
Chris Elaine comes in for Mark Godfrey to play with Matt Kawamoto. So the women lose to Natalie and Ava 21-13, almost a repeat of the previous match.
Yeah.
Like I said, like we said, Ava came to play this weekend, and Natalie was playing very, very well as well. They
Yeah,
were locked in.
they're both of them are very in sync. They knew exactly what to which part of the ball who's going to take, and it's great to see they like Ava just being traded so recently and being in sync right away. That's really prompts to her and to Natalie be able to find that out.
Yeah. And like we said, I would have liked to see Carolina sub in for either Sneha or Joanna here just to add some more power.
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah,
Because
it
like
was lacking.
the women's team got beat really bad last time you guys played. Maybe add a little bit more power to the mix,
Mhm.
um, to try and counteract that, right?
Yeah,
And then you had Chris and Matt versus Joel and Hato. This
that
was
was
a
very
really good match. Huh?
that was just that match could go either way and
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
yeah.
21-20 for Joel and Hato. Yeah, it literally could have. I think both teams had multiple chances to
Mhm.
win at 2020, and
Yeah.
they kept siding out each other until finally Joel and Hato got the win there.
Hmm.
So yeah, not bad things to say about either team on that. So at that point, it looked like Chris was that was a decent sub in, right? Like it wasn't they kept it at 2020. It could have gone either way, so not really shaking there. This next matchup though is where we questioned
Yeah, that
why
was
did you pick
so.
this lineup, right?
Exactly.
Because and like we said, the higher ranked team gets to pick the matchup. At least I'm assuming that's how it went, unless they did something behind the scenes that where they did a coin flip. But as far as I knew, the higher ranked team got to be home team,
Hmm.
right? If any of the players or any of the GMs watch this little part here, and that was the case where they did like a coin flip or like pick the number 1 or 2, let us know, because then that does change our theory on this match. Okay, so like if that's the case, get in the comments and let us know. I will gladly talk about it on the next podcast and correct that. But for now, as far as we knew, the higher ranked team got to be home and got to pick the mixed matchups, or got to pick the matchups that way. So they put out Chris and Joanna versus Joelle and Ava.
Ouch.
Yeah, that's a tough matchup for your second pairing, especially when Sneha and Matt have been playing so well. Like, especially when this is like win or go home at this point, like you got to put your best versus their best.
Oh yeah.
And have faith. So because of that, Joelle and Ava win 21-16. Like Chris and Joanna still put up a pretty good fight, but just the level of play, especially with Ava locked in and Joelle playing so well, I didn't. They would have had to play. Chris and Joanna would have had to play pitcher perfect to win this match.
Yeah.
And because of that, the Wolves win 3-0. Matt and Sneha don't even get in.
Yeah, it's too
right?
bad.
So like your best male player, Matt Kawamoto, doesn't even get in for a mixed match in this one, right?
Yeah, and that hurts a lot.
So yeah, so interesting with that, and like we said, so like Andrew and Ricky, if that was the case and it was a coin flip, let us know, and then we'll retract that one comment, and then that was just bad luck, and the Wolves, and then that's compliments to the Wolves then for picking that matchup, or the Wolverines, sorry, but yeah, so that's how that one goes. So then we move on to Wolverines versus the Brewers. This is basically the semifinal of the B side of the bracket.
Yep.
Winner go home. So Ava and Natalie versus Victoria and Amanda. Once again, Victoria and Amanda are locked in.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I can't even say anything bad about how Ava and Natalie played, but just Victoria and Amanda were so locked in this weekend. Like aside from that upset loss to the Lions females, they literally played kind of picture perfect.
Yeah, definitely. Right. They're not. There's nothing I can say because they're just they have been powering through. They're didn't make that much mistake. They knew how to attack Ava and Natalie, and they basically knew the whole game. They're not gonna be down. They're ahead all the time.
Yeah. Then we go to Joelle and Hatto versus Kyle and Mark. So keeping Kyle Hermetzen again, rewarding for his really good play from the previous match versus the Pronghorns. Joelle and Hatto take this one 21-20. This one was super close as well.
Yeah, it could have gone either way again.
Yeah, it could have gone either way.
Joel and Hatto pulling that through because that was important.
Yeah, that was important to tie it at 1-1 going into the mix. However,
ouch.
Probably the most perfect play of icing out a player I have ever seen watching. That includes CNPL last year. That includes any PPA, MLP. This was literally if you want to see a clinic on how to ice out a team, the best player in a pairing, go watch this match between
that was
Mark and Amanda and Joelle and Ava. I think
good.
I like it was like we said, picture perfect. Like I think Joelle maybe like got his paddle on 4 or 5 shots.
Yeah.
Like, and I know that's kind of over exaggerating, but that's what it felt like. Right? Like Amanda and Mark played this literally to a T of how to ice out a player. So all the shots went to Ava, and Ava was doing everything she could. She was trying to change up the shot. She was trying to make Amanda pop it a bit so that Joelle could step in. But and the way Mark was stepping in to take shots was really, really smart. Like he'd let Ava and Amanda have about 2 or 3 hits,
and he's coming.
He would step in almost at 95% of the court, but he'd hit it back to Ava, but it would just change the look of the shot. There'd be a little bit more spin. It would spin off or in a different direction of how Amanda was hitting it. Sometimes Ava would pop it up. Sometimes she put it in it. Sometimes she would put it right back over, but it forced Joelle to be stuck on his side.
Yeah, because Ava will want to try to dink it cross court back to Mark, but the problem is by now pushing back all the way to Mark. Now Mark is now re-engaging against Ava instead of Joel being able to poach, and Joel has to cover his line, knowing what Mark can attack, right? So that's problematic. And then Joel is still getting stuck in his left hand side, not being able to poach. And every time that there's some sort of over poach, Amanda's going to punish him by putting it on the left hand side.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I think at one point it was 15-5, and you and me
Right.
were like, okay, they got to change something, like switch sides
They
or
did
something.
actually.
And they did. They called a timeout, but at that point you're already down 10.
Yeah, it was too late.
And you saw it start to actually, like when they made that switch, you saw them start to make a little bit of progress because they went on a little bit of a run, and then
Yeah.
the Brewers called a timeout. They came back out, and then they just went back to what they were doing. But this time it was Mark hitting to Ava, or
Yeah.
Amanda going straight on with Ava,
Yeah.
right? And it was just like we said, literally, like it was almost watching someone play chess against someone playing checkers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it was if if the match with Joel and Ava versus Ryan and Jessica was like the highlight reel match, this was like this is what you show people if you're teaching pickleball strategy match.
Yeah, that was perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect tactic. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect tactic and perfect execution too.
Yeah. And so, yeah, Brewers go up 2-1. Wolverines need to win the next mixed match to force a dream breaker. So, Hato and Natalie versus Kyle and Victoria. This was a really, really good match.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very even. And Kyle and Victoria pull out the 21-19 win. Brewers win, eliminating the Wolverines, and they move on. So then they have to play the loser of the Rollers versus the Lions.
Yeah.
And yeah, props to Kyle and Victoria again, pulling through another good win. I'm not going to say they were super underdogs in this. Like if you're going with Hato's experience over both of them a little bit, but then Natalie is also just as inexperienced as they are.
Yeah.
So, but they played really, really well. And I found Hato, because of the fact that Joel and Ava got beat so bad, there was a couple times where he was almost trying to do a little bit too much and getting himself out of position. And then like Victoria made him pay for it a couple times, like hitting to that wide open court.
Yeah. And the other thing also was a bigger factor as the matches progresses. Victoria was starting to be able to handle Natalie's backhand slice, and more you can see Natalie's backhand slice was not effective anymore. Victoria was able to counter, starting to able to counter and attack back at Natalie, and then also Natalie did throw a couple good lobs, but and then afterwards they were same thing. They were able to neutralize those lob right back. So kind of throw up the like kind of the best shot that Natalie can get, and then that was the game, unfortunately.
Yeah. We move on to the third and final day. And so we start off with the semifinals on the A side. Number 1 seed versus number 2 seed, Rollers versus the Lions. And this was, so the first match, the women, Jess and Tara versus Anne-Sophie and Jade. A little bit of a blowout, like 21-14, and it honestly didn't look very close. Like Jess and Tara were rolling.
Yeah,
in
definitely.
this match. They were just hitting spots. Anne-Sophie and Jade couldn't really get up to the kitchen line. And then if it wasn't Jess finishing it, it was Tara finishing it with her forehand shots. And yeah, so I don't really have much more to say about that. They were just locked in for that one. Then you go to
the tactic also was right. Yeah, Jessica and Tara's tactic was slow down.
Oh yeah,
and Sophia and Jess, and that's what they're doing, because the Lions ladies want to speed up at all time, and then Jess and Tara, what they do just slow the pace down, let them make their error, or let them just hit at them, and then they counter game, and it's over. And Tara was and the very last 2 points, she just attacked right in the middle, because now the Lions lady didn't know what to do anymore. There was just go try to go side by side, and then now the middle was wide open, and then game over.
Yeah. And then we come to the men's match, and this was an insanely good match.
Oh wow, that was
so many good. I think this probably was one of the best male match battles.
Yeah, I agree.
Matt and Ryan versus Luis Charles and Ernesto came down to 2020. LC and Ernesto pull out the 21-20 win, and they were actually up 17 at one.
Something like that. Well, it was a pretty large lead.
It was a decent sized lead. Matt and Ryan did a really good push using the freeze to their advantage, tying it up. But then a couple good shots by Ernesto, and then I think it was a finish by LC that finished off the match to get the win.
Something like that. I think
something along those lines. Like it was a good setup and a good finish. It might have been the other way around, but either way, they basically one guy set up the other for like a beautiful, almost slammer down the line finish or something like that. But it was really, really, really good.
Then you got tight a little bit at that point. 20, like a couple of times.
It was almost like he got mad with himself because he missed what most of us would call an easy shot for a pro, and it was sailed a little bit long, and that would have actually been the game deciding point.
Mm-hmm.
And it was almost like he let that shot bother him for like the next 3 points.
Exactly. So that's why that be able to get Ryan and Matt all the way to that 2020, because otherwise they were yes, it was a close match, but they were dominating. The Lions was dominating the match for sure.
Exactly. And then you go to the first mix. So you got Ryan and Jess versus Ernesto and Anne-Sophie. Ryan and Jess 21-18 with the win. Just the more solid pairing in this one is pretty much what this was. It was good shots all around, but the biggest factor here was Jess is so much more experienced and so much better at this time than Anne-Sophie is. Anne-Sophie is still very green. She complements Ernesto very, very well, but Ryan just did a very good job of kind of icing Ernesto out, and that's very hard to do because Ernesto's very good at knowing when to poke his paddle in there and when to, and that's what kept it. That's what kept it really close. But when you watch the match, Ryan and Jess were in control for majority of the match.
Yes, and Jess also be able to keep Ernesto at bay and actually being able to get a couple of balls behind him, and that also throw off a little bit Ernesto's rhythm of poaching.
Yeah, well, and I think Jess within the first 4 or 5. Oh no, that was in the women's. I was gonna say in the women's match, I forgot to mention. In the first 4 or 5 points, I think she had 3 Ernies and an ATP or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. There's a mix up with those two.
Yeah, in the doubles play, Jess was on fire.
Mm-hmm.
So then you move on to Matt and Tara versus Luis Charles and Jade Cassandra, and oh my God, Elsie and Jade locked this in, and
that was a blowout. That was a real blowout.
21-9. I thought Matt was trying to do too much. He was poaching when he shouldn't have been poaching. He was making shots that were leaving Tara hanging out to dry. I don't even really fault Tara super a lot. There was a couple times he almost ran Tara over.
Yeah.
Right? And it comes to, so as much as when you watch pro pickleball right now, yes, the guy takes a lot of the court up and stuff. It's slowly transitioning, especially when you look at players like Annalie Waters, it's slowly transitioning to more of a 60-40 split, especially if you watch the really, really good teams, the guys trusting the female player more. You have to do that. You have to trust your partner who's helped your team get to this point. You're the number 1 ranked team. You're up 2-1 in this match. But it was almost, I don't know what happened with Matt that game because him and Tara had been playing so well together before that, but it was just he was almost trying to do too much. And
he's making some really weird decision. I will say questionable weird decisions, and then the other LC and just instead of attacking Tara, let's go back to Matt, and he's gonna pop that ball up, or he's gonna over poach.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Yeah, no, Elsie and Jade put on literally a clinic with that one. So with that win, forces a dream breaker. So, and the interesting thing with this is, once again, now that, like we said, if there wasn't a coin flip and the rollers decided this matchup, they literally decided the matchup that played right into the Lions' hands.
Yeah.
So they had Matt versus Luis Charles, Ryan versus Ernesto, Jess versus Jade Cassandra, and Tara versus Anne Sophie. We were sitting there and we were talking with a couple players and a few other people, and we were like, okay, well, if you're the rollers, I would have stuck Tara against one of the men on the Lions. Hope that she can steal a couple of points because she's a very good singles player.
Yeah.
Stick Jess against Anne Sophie and have Matt or Ryan play Jade and the other one play like Elsie or Ernesto, whichever one you want to do, right? Is how we thought you should line it up. I don't know if this came down to a thing was, no, I want to take on this person or I want to take on this person type of thing from the roller side. And like we said, if it came down to a coin flip, please let us know, guys. We're just going off of what we were pretty sure what the ruling was. The highest ranked team was home team, so they got to pick the matchups, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so Elsie versus Matt. Elsie wins that one 6-4.
More no, 7-4.
Oh, 7-4, sorry. Ryan versus Ernesto was pretty much a wash. Ryan got 5, Ernesto got 4, but you can basically call that a wash.
Pretty even. Yeah.
Jade Cassandra came to play in this one 8-1 over Jessica Kawamoto, which was very Jessica Kawamoto like. Normally she's really formidable in Dream Breakers, but Jade was just painting those lines like crazy. So with Elsie, with Matt not winning his, Ryan kind of washing, and then Jess not doing very well, it came down to Tara versus Anne Sophie, and Tara basically kept them in it. 7-2 over Anne Sophie. However, not enough, and the Lions win 21-17. So they move on to the finals, are now twice to beat. The Rollers have to drop down and play the Brewers to see who comes back up and wins. Like we said, depending on who picked those Dreambreaker lineups, if it was the Lions, pitcher perfect. If it was the Rollers, I would have done something different.
It didn't work.
Right, so it didn't work. And it was funny because me and Victor were talking after that mixed loss for Tara. We were like, oh, do you stick Casey Rogers in? But then when she performed so well on the Dreambreaker, we were like, oh, maybe that just saved her spot for that next match and you keep her in over Casey, right? Because I was going to say, because like regardless with the women's, your case, because you got Jessica Kawamoto, it doesn't really matter who you stick on the other side for the women's. Whether it's Casey or Tara, it's going to be a good team. But with Matt and Tara doing so poorly in that mixed match, it was like maybe stick Casey in there and change up the look is what we were thinking. But then when Tara did so well in the Dreambreaker, it's like, okay, well then do you keep Tara just in case you go to a Dreambreaker? Right.
A difficult decision. Yes,
difficult decision, and honestly could have gone either way. So speaking of which, then we have Rollers versus Brewers. Winner moves on to play the Lions in the finals. Loser goes home. 1 versus 3. So starting off, I'm going to call this an upset win, even though it really could have gone either way. But with how Jess and Tara have been playing, so they keep Tara just at the end. How Jess had been Tara have been playing, I thought they probably would be the favored team. But then again, how Amanda and Victoria have been playing as well this weekend really could have gone either way. And they've had more games under their belt. Right. So 21-20 for Amanda and Victoria. That's a huge shot for the Brewers to get that first one.
Yeah, and then the problem I think in this match is the Rollers ladies at the very, very end of the match have some uncharacteristic unforced errors, and then cost them that match because I think they are up-ish, but a couple of those little enforced errors just gave the match back to
well, yeah. And even the final point of the match, Jessica's going to do a backhand roll shot and puts it into the net, and we're like,
that's weird.
That's very on on Jessica Kawamoto, like a shot that she hits like all the time. Like if you're watching highlights of Jessica Kawamoto, that's one of the main shots she does is that step over backhand roll, right? So yeah, but yeah, shout out to like Amanda Victoria been locked in all weekend. So
Agree.
so then you have Ryan and Matt versus Mark, and the Brewers have subbed Mikkel back in over Kyle. So I wonder if they were playing like, okay, well, we need someone a little bit more defensive minded instead of offensive minded versus this team, because you don't want to get into a firefight with Ryan and Matt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Not gonna win.
Now, Ryan and Matt still get the 21-18 win, but Mark and Mikkel made it a really, really good match. A really, really good fight. But yeah, I could only imagine if you put Kyle in there with how aggressive Kyle is, I think it might have been more of a bit of a blowout, because that plays right. That style of play plays right into what, like we said, like Ryan and Matt's play. They want you to speed it up at them.
Exactly. And in this case, the problem, if you're into the firefight, Mark cannot step in and help Cal. Cal has to handle it by himself. And in this way, Mikael was more the defensive player, so he can actually set it up that Mark can poach in as needed.
Yeah, exactly.
But
So, yeah,
still lost, but it was
yeah. I thought it was the right decision putting Mikkel in.
Mhm.
Right. So and then so yeah, so 1-1 now. Then you have Ryan and Jess versus Mark and Amanda. Very, very good match. Ryan and Jess come away with the win, 21-19. This was the match where once the Rollers won this, I was like, ooh, this is going to be interesting for this next match, because you got Matt and Tara, who just got blown out, versus Mikkel and Vic. It's like you're going first place team, like first pick team versus first pick team, second place versus second place. So Rollers up 2-1. Mikkel and Vic come in and play insanely well. 21-15. And it was kind of the same story as the last game. Like Matt and Tara put on a bit more of a fight, but once again, Matt trying to do too much.
Agreed.
Right. And especially now that you have Mikkel in there who can just reset everything. And then Victoria was insanely good at resetting everything as well. No matter how many times Matt tried to slam it down, the ball was coming back over until they either made a mistake or they were able to get back up to the kitchen line and then finish it off.
Yeah, and then the other thing is Victoria able to counter attack, and her power level is definitely better than Tara, and Tara was having a little bit of difficulty handling that. And then I think that was also a big factor of that kind of big gap win.
Yeah. So yeah, so Mikkel and Victoria win 21-15, forcing another dream breaker. So this was huge because like we said, winner goes home, loser moves on to the finals.
Yep.
And this one had a little bit of everything. So like we said, if the higher ranked team gets to pick the matchup, this time I thought the Rollers did a good job picking the lineup. At least when you read it off like the starting lineup. And now, like I said, if it was a coin flip and the Brewers picked it, you still got the win, so it didn't really matter either way. But
that was a better pick, definitely.
It still was a good pick. Like this pick was like a better pick for the Rollers, but it also was a good pick for the Brewers. Like the matchups were kind of like what you'd be okay with regardless. You know what I mean? So to start, you had Matt versus Victoria. Victoria wins that 6-5.
Yeah.
Right.
That's huge.
That's huge. Insanely huge. Then you have Ryan versus Mikkel. That one you basically want Mikkel to steal a couple of points. Like Ryan's gonna win, right? And he does. He steals 3.
Yeah.
Right. He gets 3 out of that. Mikkel did his job there. Then you have Jess versus Mark. Kind of the same thing. You need Jess to steal a couple of points, and she does really well. She gets 4.
Yeah, she got 4, and Mark got 6. So that was not too far off.
Yeah, so like she did her job there. Then the most interesting matchup of this was Tara versus Amanda. So the first time out, Tara sweeps it 3-0 and in dominant fashion. And you and me kind of looked at each other and we were like, oh, if that's going to be how it's going, this is going to be over and that's going to be the deciding factor.
No, it was the other side.
Right. And then all of a sudden you work your way back down and Amanda wins the next 6 straight points.
Ouch.
Like she literally locked in and she had Tara running side to side. It wasn't like unforced errors. Amanda was just painting those lines,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like insanely good performance.
She did
Insanely good
very well
performance.
on that single match, definitely.
Yeah. So Brewers come away with the win. The Rollers are done. The number one seed is knocked off, losing back-to-back Dreammaker matches.
That's rough.
That's tough. But I got to give props to the Rollers. Last place last year, all the way to first place this year, and it took a Dream Breaker to knock you out. It took 2 Dream Breakers to knock you out in the playoffs, finishing 3rd overall. Still a super successful season, but yeah, that's a tough way to go out. So the moment everyone's been waiting for, the finals.
Oh yeah,
Got the number 2 seeded Lions versus the number 3 seed Brewers.
that was a great match. That was
This was literally, yeah, this was a amazing match from start to finish. Everything was stupid close.
Mm-hmm.
Really could have gone either way. So to start off, you got the women's. This one, so the score doesn't look close on this, but the match was close. The interesting thing with this was, though, it was the change in tactics, which kind of bit the Lions in the butt. Because if you watch the first time these teams played each other, when the Lions ladies upset the Brewers, so Brewers won 21-12.
Mm-hmm.
The first time they played the Lions, they were dinking more so to Victoria.
Yeah.
And they were trying to ice Amanda out. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that Victoria is like the weaker one, but like we said earlier when we were talking about other matches, if Amanda keeps touching the ball, she gets hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter as the match goes. They were dinking to Victoria. Or not, sorry, they were dinking to Amanda.
Yeah, and then that's
Amanda was touching like 90% of the dinks, and I'm like, why did you change this tactic? Right? Mm-hmm. Like, why aren't you speeding it up? Like, why are you all of a sudden playing the soft game when you upset them last time you played them?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, it was a 21-20 final, but you were doing speed ups. You were attacking more so Victoria and then catching Amanda coming in and poaching and then making her pay for those mistakes, right? Like, so it was a very interesting change of tactics for the Lions ladies there. Amanda and Victoria win 21-12. Then you got the men's match, Ernesto and LC versus
21-13. I think it's 21-13, isn't it?
21-13.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
21-12, 21-13. It was basically that. Then you have Ernesto and LC versus Mikkel and Mark. Another really, really good match. Ernesto and LC, though, were kind of the more dominant team throughout. Like they got up to about a 3 or 4 point lead, and then there was kind of point for points the way the rest of that match went. There was a couple times
until a certain point, I think, and then suddenly the Lions went all the way to 2013. Actually, they went all the way to 2013.
Yeah, because I think they got up. It was like, and yeah, because it was. Oh no, so they went on runs of 2. Like one team went up by 2, the other team tied it up, went up by 2, and then they got to they got to like 13-13, and then all of a sudden the Lions just went on this rampage. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you were saying, then 2013. Using the freeze to their advantage, Mark and Mikkel made a really, really good push, getting all the way up to 18, but then Ernesto and LC finish it off.
Same again. LC was a little bit shaky when it was that freeze again, and then make some poor shots, and then a little bit.
It's almost like it's like he was squeezing the pad a little too tight. But then once again, I think LC got the finishing shot again. So it's just it's funny, because there was a couple of those where it's like that the finishing shot was there and just either rolled a little bit too long or went a little bit too wide or hit the net cord and fell on your side type of thing. Because it got to the point where he kind of like looked skyward and he was like, "Come on, like you want this match to be over?"
Yeah, I know.
So Lions win 21-18, tied up at one game apiece. Then you have Luis Charles and Jade Cassandra versus Mikkel and Victoria. Another insanely good match. And this is the match where LC like locked it in.
Oh yeah, the LC was like not the other LC that was
he would not be denied this game at all.
Yeah, he was like, I'm going.
Yeah, I'm making you pay for every little mistake. And like I said, 21-18, still super close match, but like if you had to pick who was the dominant player in this one, it was clearly LC by a long shot. So Lions go up 2-1. If they win the next one, they win the championship. If the Brewers win, they force a dream breaker and possibly forcing a secondary tiebreak match.
Yeah.
So you have Ernesto and Anne-Sophie versus Mark and Amanda. At one point, Mark and Amanda were leading this 20-15.
Yes, they had match point in their hand.
They had match point in their hands. Ernesto and Anne break serve, and then they call a timeout. They come out of this timeout and they go on a 5-point run to tie it at 20-20. Brewers get the serve back. Lions break them again. And then to finish it off here for the Lions.
Ernesto's taking this ball no matter what.
20.
Big return to serve here by Mark. A lot of emotions in play on this point. Who can stay aggressive?
Oh, and it goes wide. Lions have done it.
Huge comeback.
The Lions do a couple of dinks and hits it to Mark's backhand. He goes to do that little spin that he normally does, and it just sails wide out. Lions win 21-20.
In dramatic
2024 CNPL champions. That match was insane.
Oh, that was nice. That was super close, super well played.
Yeah, it literally had everything you wanted in a finals match. Like super close matches, trading back and forth the points on either side. So a big shout out to the Montreal Lions, 2024 champions. Very well deserved. Consistent the entire way through the season. I think they had this almost identical record every single split too.
Yeah, they're pretty close with
the, like 6-3 or 7-3, like every single time type of thing, right? So it was insane
with the Rollers. So props to them. They deserve the win, and then the whole team plays super well.
Yeah, and shout out to the Brewers. What a playoff run that was, and like I said, Victoria and Amanda really locked it in the entire weekend. I got nothing but good things to say about how they played. And like props to using both Mikkel and Kyle as well. Like they both subbed in for each other when needed to and performed. Right. So like, and of course Mark playing really, really well.
Yes.
So it was
they upset the number one seed, right?
Yep.
So
upset the number one seed, played awesome. So that was huge. That was huge. Yeah, you couldn't really have scripted a better weekend. Like every match was amazing this weekend. Like we said, the only match where it kind of fell flat a little bit at the end was that last Smash versus Wolverines in the pool play, and that's just because after the men's match, we already knew Smash was eliminated. They were so pretty good matches, and the Smash still won that match. But like other than that, everything was a good match. Like even though there was 3-0 sweeps in the bracket, all the matches in there were still really good. Right? So yeah, so I got really nothing else to say. Like this was an amazing, like just for the pickleball play alone before we get into everything else on the weekend.
It was high level pickleball that we needed.
Yeah, that's the type of pickleball you needed to, and like I said, if you haven't watched any of this, go on to the YouTube channel, go back and watch some of these matches. You're looking at like elite level pickleball in Canada right now.
And even I will say sometimes YouTube unfortunately does not do justice, right? Because just the camera angle being back off. So if you watched them live, oh my god, it's a different story.
And we said this, like the camera slows the ball down. I want to say almost like if you were watching a video and then you went to like say 60% speed, that's what the camera does to that pickleball when you're watching it online. Like that ball is moving so fast. Yeah, because everyone when they watch on TV, oh, it's moving so slow. No wonder they can get to these shots and stuff. I was like, no, that ball is moving stupid fast. It's just I don't know what it is about camera systems. It's the same thing when you watch hockey. Hockey looks like, oh yeah, then they're going fast, but then you go watch a hockey game live in person, and it is so much faster. I don't know if it's just
same for tennis. I will say tennis too. Tennis, you look like, oh, I can run down that ball, and then you go watch it live. no way I'm going to get that ball. It's going to get past
153 km/h
yeah,
surely.
exactly. You're like, and then you're like on TV, you're like, I can return that. But then
Yeah.
because I've been a line judge for the National Band Open or the Rogers Cup before. I was like, you have like a 200 plus kilometer per hour serve. Like, no,
Yeah, no,
the only thing you should be doing is just ducking. That's all.
yeah, exactly. So once again, congratulations to the Lions, Ernesto, Luis Charles, and Sophie, Jay Cassandra. We'll give a shout out to Allie Williams
Yeah,
as well, and Matthew, who weren't there for the weekend, but definitely part of the team. The other bonus things that we got to do on the weekend while we were there, so we got to do some broadcasting. So if you watch the last two matches on day one, me and Vic are commentating on that.
Yeah.
Last two matches on day two were last three actually.
Three. Yeah, we did three.
Last three on day two, we commentated those. We got to comment the game between the what was it? It was the Brewers and the Rollers.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, isn't it? Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, we got to commentate the Brewers and Rollers match, and then I got to commentate with Cam Taylor the finals match, which was a lot of fun. Big shout out to Jason and the camera crew at JYT Media for coaching us through that and making it really easy to do our job. Like I can't remember the replay gentleman's name, but he was on point. Like we would comment about a shot.
Yeah, he will find it for
within
us.
3 seconds. It was up there and for us to look at again. So big shout out to them. And big shout out to all the players that just came up and talked to us. Like we didn't have to really track. Like we got. Sorry, before we get to that, Yui, Silao, Mike, Suki, Sari, gave us full access. So we were able to walk where the players were walking. We were with the broadcast crew. We were in that back there. Like we had full access. So thank you so much for giving that to us.
Yeah, that was great. We're not expecting that.
Yeah, we weren't expecting that much access. So big shout out to that for letting us do that. And then big thank you to all the players who just came up and they thanked us for doing the podcast. We had really good conversations with a lot of people. Rhett Sheffley, who's the GM of the Brewers, I had a good conversation with him. I think the entire Toronto United team, Carolina, Sneha, Joanna came up to us. Mark Gottfried came up to us. Matthew Kawamoto came over and gave us fist bumps. On the Rollers, Ryan Torrenson, Matty Stadola, Casey gave me a fist bump and said hi. Big shout out to Sonny Batar from the Pronghorns, who didn't get to play this weekend, but went out of his way to come over and have a really good chat with us.
Yes,
which was really awesome. Who am I missing there on the rush?
Christina is already obviously come to us. Kim and Nathan. We'll get into
we'll get to that one in a sec. But for the Vancouver rush, I got to have a good chat with Sabrina Lamb and Eugene, which was really fun. Let's see, for the Smash, Christina Chen, Kim Layton, Nathan Choi. We got to talk to who are we missing here? Wolverines. We got to talk to like Haddo, Joel. And Natalie had a really good conversation with us.
I will have an extended conversation with her.
Yeah. So thank you to all the players. We know every now and then you'll hear us say something that sometimes you might not like. We're just trying to we're being fans and we're pointing out what we notice. We know we're not pros and we might read the situation wrong, and you're fully okay to be annoyed with something that we say. But thank you so much you didn't have to come up and talk to us. So thank you for coming up, having the chat, and thanking us for doing the podcast. We really appreciated it.
That was great.
And we just enjoy following, and we're trying to, even though we're still a small podcast, we're trying to give you guys the viewership that we think you guys deserve, because you guys are awesome.
Definitely.
Also a big shout out to Ernesto's mom, Mary. If you look at the play here, right up behind me here, she gave us Ernesto and Elsie's bag tags from
Yes.
National. And she was super, super nice. Such a sweet
Also,
lady.
she's so nice to talk to. She talked to my mom for extended period of time. She was so nice.
Yeah. Oh, and we forgot to mention, of course, Ernesto and Elsie, who was so the others. I had a very good conversation with Ernesto and Elsie. They were staying in the same hotel as me and Irene. So the one night we were down in the hot tub and they were down there too. And we literally just talked, we're geeking out about pickleball the entire time in the hot tub. He was saying, "Oh yeah, for this matchup tomorrow, who do you think? Like if it goes to Dreambreaker, how would you do the lineup?" Stuff like that. Like, and if you've never met Ernesto in person, when you watch him on TV or you watch him even live on the court, he is one of the scariest mother effers I've ever watched play. So you build this image of him in your head that he's just like this intense dude, and he is literally like a giant-sized human teddy bear. It's like one of the nicest guys I've ever met and had the chance to talk to.
Yes,
so thank you, Ernesto,
so nice.
for giving us a crap ton of your time and just being willing to chat with us constantly. And I guess the next part is we got to do a Joes versus Pros match.
Oh yeah, that was interesting.
So shout out to Nathan Choi of the Smash and Eugene Mack of the Rush.
Yeah. Eugene Ma. It's Ma. Hey, no, not Mac.
Ma?
Yeah. Ma. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Our apologies. We've been saying that wrong all year. So Eugene Ma. They played against me and Victor in regular format pickleball.
We got
Victor's gonna we've recorded it and we're gonna slice together the footage and post it up. We're probably gonna post full match on YouTube and then we'll do snippet highlights on like Instagram and stuff like that. They were nice and asked us right away, how do you want this to go? And we were like, we want you to kick our ass.
Yeah.
Like we want to actually show what it looks like when two 4-0-4-5 players play pros. Like we want to experience that, right? And they clearly kicked our ass.
We're not even close. And then
it was 11-0 and 11-2, and I think one of those two.
No, 11-1. We got just 1 point. That's it.
Oh yeah, just one, and I think it was a service return error. I don't even think it was an actual.
Yeah, I think he was not paying too much attention. He just returned it that way.
Right.
So that's the only point we got.
Yeah, and like once we got up to the kitchen line, we didn't do too bad, but and they were doing shots that they wouldn't do in an actual game versus other pros. Like they were doing fancy stuff and things like that, and still making us look like we didn't know. It would be like the equivalent to me and Victor playing two people who just learning how to play. If you want to like a good picture of like
this. I felt I was 3-5 at best.
Yeah,
when I was playing.
Yeah, exactly right. So big thank you to Nathan and Eugene for that. That was really fun. Like even though we got our butts kicked, we had a blast.
It was fun.
Doing that.
Really fun.
And that's another thing that you don't see on TV, and you don't even see it as much when you're watching it in person until it's actually being hit at you. How much spin these guys put on their dink shots.
Oh my God.
I thought because I was like watching Nathan dink it over with his forehand to me, and I was like, okay, it's gonna have some topspin or whatever. The ball's spinning sideways as I'm seeing it coming over the net, right? And I'm just like, okay, best I can do is put it back over. And so that was a blast. And then on top of that, as a bonus, we got Ernesto, and he took turns playing with Andrew and Ricky Loretti, who are the owners of the Toronto United team.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Andrew and Ricky, if you don't know who Ricky is, he is a big YouTube influencer, and also has a podcast called the Pals Podcast, which he films out of Toronto. They have like huge names come up on that. So if you haven't tuned into that, make sure you tune into that.
Yeah, they did a good job in the social media for
really good. Like out of all the teams, the Toronto United by far has like the best social media presence.
Mm-hmm.
But so they took turns playing with Ernesto. So once again, a pro, and Ernesto was being nice.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna say he was maybe going 50%.
Or even less. Probably even less.
Even less. Maybe 25. We'll say he was going a quarter power, right, with us. And now Andrew and Ricky are about 3-5 players, right?
And he just finished playing. Don't forget.
And Ernesto had just finished playing. So he's going easy because obviously he doesn't want to hurt himself because he's playing the next day. But so and those matches went a little bit better, but then again, we're playing a pro player going 25%, and then a 3-5 player. And like me and Victor are 4-0/4-5, right?
Mhm.
So we won those matches. We won both matches 11-9. So that shows you, like, even with Ernesto going 25%, it was still an 11-9 game,
Yeah,
right?
it was
So
difficult.
it was difficult.
Walking
And
the
I don't
park.
know how Ernesto does that shot where he's standing up straight and his paddle's pointed down, and he does that little flick of the wrist. The ball like loops over the net and has like a crap ton of spin on it.
And then
I did get I did get an ATP on him though, and like his reaction to me getting that ATP was awesome. And like after the game, he goes, "What are you guys, like 4-5, 4-0?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I was like, "You guys are good, right?" And I was like, "Well, you're being way too kind to us, Ernesto."
yeah, exactly.
But thank you very much.
Oh man.
So that was a blast. Big shout out to Andrew and Ricky for coming in and playing with us as well. I know Andrew especially played a couple matches with Irene and a few of the other like high level ladies who were there.
Shout
I
out
think
to
him
them.
and yeah, I think him and Joanna Fang played against Irene, and I want to say it was Jill who's a 4-0/4-5 player from Alberta who was volunteering that weekend.
Mhm.
And they played a couple matches and had some fun with that. But no, yeah, from all the people from the CNPL who gave us all that access and all that extra stuff. So we did a recap of every game, and they collaborated with us on it. They let us do commentary. They let us full access talk to everyone. The only other people we need to thank are our lovely wives for basically letting their husbands act like 14-year-old boys and go play for a whole weekend.
Yeah, Erin and May from May's my wife. Erin's Andrew's wife. They basically just, you guys go, boys, and then just do whatever you want to do.
So yeah, so big thank you to them for letting us go to this weekend. We went out and had dinner Saturday nights, and they were like, "Yeah, you two sit across from each other because you guys are just not going to shut up the whole." I mean, Victor just got to sit there and geek out about pickleball like the entire night.
Yeah.
So to the point where they
Absolutely.
started pulling our sleeves, it's like, "Hey, it's time to go. You need
Yeah.
to sleep, you need to get up the next morning." So yeah, big thank you to May and Irene for letting us have fun with that. And once again, big thank you to everyone in the CNPL and all the volunteers for like just letting me and Victor be a part of that. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you so much. We're definitely much appreciate what you guys gave us. It was a not very memorable experience.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, without further ado, season-ending awards. And apparently, when I did this last year, someone thought it was official CNPL awards. I don't know who it was.
Next time we're gonna do it with the trophies next time if we have the budget.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. I got some graphics ready. So you're gonna see when the video finishes, you're gonna see graphics pop up. So
Awesome. Nice.
don't you worry. So these are not official CNPL awards. These are our picks. Okay.
Yeah.
So me and Victor are pretty close. We might debate a few of them.
Yeah.
But so I'm gonna name all the awards off first, and then we will go and we're gonna obviously save the three big ones for the end because those are the fun ones. But we're gonna have an MVP of the season, of the regular season. We're gonna have MVP of the playoffs.
Yep.
We're gonna have Rookie of the Year, Most Improved Player, the Fred Van Vliet or the Out of Nowhere Award, which is so for the description of that, just because it's an obscure name, that's a player who either was started the season as like an alternate or an undrafted and became an integral part to the team. So me just saying that, I'm pretty sure if any of you who follow pickleball listen or follow the CNPL listeners probably know who we're gonna pick. But we'll get to that. Then we have most offensive, the best offensive player of the year, best defensive player of the year, and then we have most outstanding player for each of the splits. So West split, East split, Central split. And then because we got so busy in the behind the scenes stuff, we didn't get to do a lot of that fan thing that we were talking about on the previous podcast where we were going to go around.
That was my bad. I should have done it.
No, because we kind of felt we were able to do broadcasting and stuff, and we were behind the scenes doing recaps. So we got kind of caught up in that. So we didn't get to really go out into the stands and talk to people as much. So we're going to leave out the fan favorite. We're not going to do that because obviously that's a fan vote.
Mhm.
but we are going to do our own picks for the most underrated player.
Yeah, and then you forgot steal of the draft.
Oh, sorry. Yes. And steal of the draft. So steal of the draft was for anyone who was picked fourth pick or higher. So fourth, fifth, or sixth pick. And
Mhm.
once again, so like they got picked really late, but then performed so well that you probably should have picked them higher.
Yeah.
Or like you can't believe that person fell that low on the pick.
Mhm.
All right, so we're gonna start off with most improved player. So this is more so me picking this one because I was the one. Vic didn't join the podcast until after the last CNPL season was over. He watched it as like a fan observer, but not as in depth as what I watched it at. So
No, yeah, exactly. I was watching, but not as much as this year. This year, I was like really watching and analyzing.
yeah, exactly right. So yeah, if you're watching just for fun and not analyzing, it's a little harder to pick this one, right? So
Mhm.
so my pick for the most improved player of the year is goes to Joel Pelche of the West Coast Wolverines. One of my big factors for this one was I looked at because I got to watch him last year, and I was looking at the stats from last year and looking at the stats from this year. So, player of the match 3 times. His plus minus improved from 1.3 to 1.6. And that's a lot when you look at how close these matches are. When you're winning 21-20, that's only a +1.
Yeah.
Right. So he had a win percentage this year of about 73 to 75. When I look on the CNPL website, if you look at what's under the player's name, but then if you go and look, it has one thing. But then if you go back and actually track all the matches, it comes up a little bit different, but it's within 1 or 2%. So, but had a 73% win rating on the CNPL website. His win percentage last year was 60.5.
That's
So like
huge. That's a
that's a
big
like a
jump.
12-point win percentage jump. And for those of you who didn't watch last year, he got to play with like Angie Walker last year as a female partner. Angie Walker is now playing in the PPA Pro Tour, so she's not playing in the CNPL this year because she got signed down there. So like, and that's not taking anything away from Ava and Natalie, but they are both rookies this year. And same thing with any female who played for the Wolverines this year was a rookie. So the fact that he was able to still bounce that win percentage up by that much is why I'm giving him my vote for most improved player of the year. Then we go on to the Fred Van Vliet or the Out of Nowhere Award. Me and Vic have the same pick for this, and this will probably anyone who followed closely with us, this will probably come to no surprise.
Yeah.
Neha Iyer, Leary was undrafted. Came onto the team during the first splits and then worked her way up into the starting role. And then her and Matt Kawamoto as a pair was insanely strong, especially when you watch that Western split when they went on that 6-3 run. And so that's back-to-back years now. A Toronto United player has won that award. So shout out to Andrew and Ricky for being able to find those diamonds in the rough.
Oh yeah, that she was playing so very well, and definitely she definitely shows her quality of play, her attack minded pickleball, and I think that she would greatly deserve this mention.
Yeah, absolutely. So then we got steal of the draft. I had kind of 2 people lined up here, and so did Victor, but we both had one person. We both had the one person there. So I think by default, that kind of makes that person the winner. So I'm gonna give honorable mentions to Michael McCaffrey and Natalie Araya for this. But our pick is Tara Di of the Rollers.
Yes.
And like we said, didn't really get a lot of playing time until the Western split, but then was like 9-2 in women's, and then a really good win percentage in mixed, and then was one of the main main reasons they came so close in that Dream Breaker to taking out the oh my god, I can't even see, taking out the Lions.
Yeah.
Tara really played very, very well. And she was like literally, what was she, like their last pick or their second last pick, if I remember correctly?
Yeah.
But
Well, somewhere there.
yeah, she was fifth. She was drafted fifth or sixth by the Rollers, so which means she's in like the high 20s. For that pick. So that's a huge shout out to Tara. I thought like she played insanely well in the Western splits. Yeah, so shout out to Tara. Really, really good season. Can't
Yeah,
wait
she
to
plays super well too. You can
yeah.
see first of all, Dreambreaker. What she did well during this season. She was complimenting Jessica Kawamoto very well. So and then the stats also shows that she did deserve to be picked higher up, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. And then we're going to the offensive player of the year. So are we deciding on the one person we both picked, or are we gonna kind of debate these three players that we have?
Now let's just
Go with the we
let's
both
just
picked as
yeah,
we're
exactly.
yeah, okay. So that's gonna go. All right. So offensive player of the year will go to Mark Clemenson from the
Yeah.
Brewers. Um, and this is not just a stat based thing, but this is also how much teams tried to avoid him
Oh yeah, definitely.
when they play him. Like
Oh yeah,
if one of the players who's avoided by far the most
it was
when you're
him.
playing him in a match was Mark Clemenson, just because his two-handed backhand and his backhand flicks are so devastating that it's such a hard thing to stop. Like expect like when you were watching, like whether it's a mixed, whether it's men's, it didn't really matter. You're going to the other player.
Oh yeah.
You're
Oh
avoiding
man,
him. You're avoiding him.
he's making himself so big. You're like, okay, I'm just gonna ding to that corner, and then he still got it. You're like, oh my god, how am I gonna avoid him?
Yeah, exactly. So we are, yeah, and we'll give a quick honorable mentions to Ryan Torrenson of the Rollers and Ernesto Fajardo from the Lions.
Mhm.
Both also insanely powerful guys, but they weren't avoided as much as Mark.
Yeah, well, yes, but at the same time, not really, right?
Yeah,
I would say they're still strong. Not taking away from their play. They're super strong male player, but Mark Clemenson was like really you can feel his presence when you're
yeah,
playing against him.
exactly. All right, so most defensive player of the year. Yeah, we'll go with the player we both picked for this one as well. I'll give an honorable mention to Mikel Gamond of the Brewers, because like
Mhm.
we were saying as we were talking about the playoffs, defensive specialist.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna go for all over defense, it's Jessica Kawamoto.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um,
She so solid, so solid.
yeah, like just couldn't really do anything to shake her. She was never like. It's funny because when you watch, especially mixed doubles, they attack. They tend to attack the female more to avoid the man's power. It was almost like you're picking your poison if you were attacking Jessica. Because I don't know, like so many Ernies, so many ATPs. She could just do that backhand roll shot down the line back at you, like, and she could dig up everything.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how many times they were like she'd be in the backcourt, the other team was slamming it back, and it was just like return, return. And
Yeah.
it's like not just a good, it's not just a return, but it's like a beautiful like drop shot return.
Hmm.
Right. So yeah, so defensive player of the year, Jessica Kawamoto. Anything you want to add to that, Vic?
Not much. I think she just her style of play, right? She's the ability of getting so low, right, and being able to reach to those shot and with ease actually. Basically, she's her and then sometimes even converting that defense to offense. She can do everything, but definitely the defensive part, like you can't get by her. Just like it's so tough because she's getting every ball possible back to you. It's almost like frustrating to playing against her.
Yeah, exactly. All right, and then we have so then now we're gonna actually we'll do underrated first, and then we'll do the split. So
Yep.
for underrated, so this was originally going to be a fan vote, but like we said before, because we didn't, we got busy with other obligations that we originally weren't aware we were going to have, but
Yeah.
we gladly accepted them. Um, this one I went to, and it wasn't necessarily because I'm saying more underrated, more so of if you think of the team that they play on, they're not one of the first two people you think of,
Yeah.
right? So our pick, the pick is Victoria DeMuso of the Brewers.
Mhm.
Um, not only did she have one of the highest win percentages of any female, she was also player of the game 7 different times
Yeah.
throughout this season. And she just got better and better and better as this season went on. And like we said, when you say the Brewers, you're thinking, okay, Mark Clemenson and then Amanda Rosati as well, especially with her coming up from the States, had a lot of like fanfare with that, right? And like, so like, well, yeah, it's like saying underrated. I almost want to change the name of the name of this award because it doesn't really do her justice. Doesn't do Victoria justice because I don't think anyone viewed her as underrated. But if you're just looking at how the Brewers were like sold, it was like Mark Clemson, Amanda Rosati, and like their merry men, sort of, right? So it's sort of how it came across. And then Victoria like clearly stood on her own, and like I said. I want to say one of the only females who had a higher win percentage than her was like obviously Jessica Kawamoto, maybe Kim Layton and Christina Chin. I'd have to go back and double check the stats, but she played amazing this season, and as we said, as the season went on, just got better and better and better, and then was super locked in for the playoffs.
Agreed. Yeah, she should definitely deserve it, and you can see, especially during the playoffs, she is so locked in, like she barely lost on her own, and she was able to overpower some males as necessary, and she basically dominate most of the other females that was on the court.
Yeah. All right, so now to our splits. So most outstanding player most outstanding player of each split. So starting with the first one, the East split. We're gonna So I had 2 people picked, but then Victor once again had one of the same people I had picked. The way I was looking at the splits was kind of not just performance, but also going kind of like the story coming out of the split. So like the big thing with the East split is you had a couple players. It was their first time playing in the event. And it was like, okay, we don't know this player. How are they going to do? Or is this player going to live up to the hype that's been surrounded? So we both went with Ernesto Fajardo just because #1 overall draft pick, all this hype coming out of Quebec. I had seen him play at Nationals before, and I knew he was really, really good. But the way him and LC and the Lions came out of the gate,
yeah, they were dominating.
Just dominating,
and like they were just pure domination.
And clearly dominating, especially in the men's as well. Like it was just insane. So like, yeah, East split player Ernesto. Literally just came out of that split. It was just like, the Lions are going to be really hard to beat this year. Just like,
did you remember I put them as #1 in my team? Right?
Yeah, you did. Yeah,
and I was right.
Yep. Well, you're right at the end. Exactly. No, and they were and like I said, I got really nothing else to go with that. He played awesome. Then we go to the Central split. So I am going to give a honorable mention in this one to the duo of Christina Chin and Kim Layton, just because they played out of their minds that weekend, and like they got the smash to like that 6-4 record, which was their best kind of split. But we both went with Jessica Kawamoto.
She was the steadiest female as from that split. That's no question.
Yeah, steadiest female. They're also literally put the rollers on her back because Ryan Torrenson was away getting married, and they still went to a 5-5 record. And if you go back and look, I don't know if she lost a match.
No,
like,
she didn't.
They might have lost. They might have lost a thing, but she won her women's and she won her mixed majority.
Yeah, she carried the team basically.
Yeah, it was awesome to watch. So big shout out to Jess for that. And then the West split, the obvious story of that was Toronto United's all of a sudden skyrocketing up the ranks, going from 7th all the way to 4th, led by Matt Kawamoto. So like if you go online, you'll see that they have player of the matches assigned to players like who's won, and you can see the tally. Matt Kawamoto had 6 in total. 4 of those were on this weekend. So like Matt locked it in and just played amazing. And the duo of him and Sneha Iyer was probably one of the best mixed teams at that event.
Yes.
And that was fun to watch.
Yeah, something clicked some reason on that during that weekend. He's like, no, I'm going all out that weekend, and then yeah, he was just crazy. He was winning nonstop.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So for the big three now, and me and Victor are divided on this.
Disagreeing on some.
We're disagreeing on some, so we're gonna get into a bit of a debate here. So we're gonna start off with Rookie of the Year. So I have Ernesto. Victor, who do you have?
I have Ava Weeks. Ernesto is not really a rookie. What the hell are we putting
Well,
Ernesto
he's
as a
a rookie. It's
rookie?
first year playing in the league.
Yeah, but still, come on, like,
So,
he's-
I'm
come on, come on.
using that.
Like
I'm using that technicality.
he's like, he's like a number one national. Like, yes, okay, and on top of that, he's number one draft pick. Come on,
Yeah, but you
come
could
on.
say the same thing about Connor McDavid when Connor McDavid came into the NHL. Like you knew,
Yeah, but it's
you
not
knew
the
how
same
good he
thing.
was. He was already
No, but like,
playing like super high level.
yeah, but still, I don't agree. No way, I agree with that. No freaking way.
The only
Anyway,
reason why
I have Ava because
yeah, you have
okay,
Ava, right? So
I'm a little biased. I mean, from Edmonton, obviously, she's a local, but at the same time, think about it. She's the youngest. There's no younger player than her, and she's like so mature, getting in right away. You can see during her performance during the playoff, she's so steady. Like I never saw her playing that well. Like to be honest with you, I never saw her playing that well. And like she's able to complement your partner. Like just your level is high. She's not like I'm saying this level. No, I'm gonna go reach it. I'm gonna go reach your level. I'm gonna complement you all the way to that level. Like how someone that young able to be mature that this way and able to perform, and she like basically she started to play pro this year too. Like Ernesto is not starting to play pro this year. He played a couple of years ago. Come on.
So the only thing I'm gonna throw as a counter argument for you with that, Vic, is it is the season award, not the playoff award.
Yes, but still,
So
come on.
no, the way I'm looking at that then is that Ava didn't really start coming into her own until the Western split after she got traded to the Wolverines.
Yeah, but she didn't get much play neither, right?
Well, yeah, but
compared to Ernesto was playing on freaking every match almost.
you still need to play games though to perform.
Yeah, but like if
Right, so
your owner doesn't
I
give
know,
you the
but
chance to play, like
I know this
and
is just the
like
counter
on the
the
central split, she doesn't even get invited to. No, the eastern split, she doesn't even get invited to play. Like it's not her fault.
Yeah, and then didn't get
Not her
invited,
fault.
and I think she only played maybe 3 or 4 games in the Central, and then of course played almost every game in the West when she went to the Wolverines. But
the owner not using her appropriately. It's their fault.
well,
It's not Ava's fault.
No, it's not Ava's fault. But like, if you want to go along with that line of thought, you could technically then give a throw in then for Tara then. Because Tara didn't really get in either until the Western split either, right? So like, but the reason why I'm going with Ernesto is because the stipulation we put was first year playing in the CNPL. Literally, if you're doing for first year players, nobody played better from him for first year players.
Okay.
But
whatever.
but because we both have very good arguments. We can have, because like I said, this is our show. Mm-hmm. We're gonna have both of them up because they're both of our picks.
Yes, definitely.
Right. So I wanted the debate in there for fun, but we're not saying one is better than the other. We'll let people in the comments argue that.
Yeah, guys, people can comment and then let us know who's right. Probably
who do you agree with more? So like I said, when we said last podcast, the only stipulation was it was their first year playing in the CNPL.
Gotcha.
Regardless, this would be like it's no different than like if I'll throw one more argument for me. This would be the equivalent of a guy playing in like the Russian Hockey League, the KHL, playing pro there for a couple years, and then coming into the NHL and winning Rookie of the Year. Even though he's been playing pro, he's been playing pro at a level like that. Or like a guy playing pro level in Spain for basketball, and coming in and winning Rookie of the Year in the NBA type of deal. Like I said, I see the argument for both. We both have good arguments. So I'm going to put both names up here above me with the award. And we'll let people in the comments that'll be a fun. I want to see the debate in the comments, guys, or somewhere. I'm going to put this is going to get posted on both the YouTube channel and Instagram. We'll do a little snippet of the debate and then comments neither or and tell us who you think. And if you have a different name, throw that out as well. All right. So MVP of the regular season.
Okay.
Okay. You go first, Vic, this time.
I did put Ernesto. That was a clear choice that he was the MVP because he was dominant, like so dominant in the whole season. Like everyone was scared of him basically. Like everyone was avoiding him. Like he was like the Mark Clemenson of the regular season. You do not want to give the ball to him. He's gonna finish you regardless what's gonna happen. So that's definitely like he is, for me, the MVP of this season.
Okay, and I'll throw in there, he also won the second most player of the match awards, was a plus 2.7, which is insanely good. And according to the online thing, he's basically a 70% win rate.
Which is pretty high.
So my pick is Jessica Kawamoto.
Okay.
Obvious reasons, literally, like now. Okay, so I'll throw stats out first. Most player of the match awards with 10. Best plus minus out of anybody with 3.7. Most game wins, which I didn't say. Ernesto's was 39. Jess had 42.
It's pretty
and
low.
Best win percentage at 75%. Nobody else was at 75%. So that means, like she won both in women's, she won in mixed. She played with different partners throughout. Ernesto played with LC the entire time. And I know we shouldn't shoot that who you play with because it's like saying, oh, yeah, Draisaitl plays with David, and that's why Draisaitl scores. Someone's got to play with them. So that's not a shot at Ernesto. But the only women who had more women's wins than Jessica was Christina Chin and Kim Layton, who play together. Jessica has split her time with Casey and with Tara and still had the next most women's wins. She played with Ryan Torrenson for 2 out of the splits, rotated between Matt Sadola and Corey Osborne for the other split, and still had one of the best mixed records in the entire league. Yeah, if you go mixed top if you go to the website and go mixed top performers, and you go win rate or win percentage, she has the best. Ryan Torrenson has the best, but I don't really count that because he plays with Jessica. But she's got the next, and she has the only person who has close to the same amount of wins as her is Mark Clemenson and Amanda Rosati, who play together. And Jess has the better win percentage at 78%.
I know. I'm just going pure on the performance, how he's doing, and the presence of the player. I'm not saying Jess is not another good pick. She will be my second pick definitely.
Yeah,
but if I have to pick,
if I have to pick, Ernesto would be my other pick as well. But that's also because I picked Jess for this. That's why I picked also Ernesto for rookie, because they were literally like, without them on their team wouldn't be where they were. And Jess basically also captained that team to first overall. Ernesto captained his team to second overall. Like it was literally neck and neck.
Interchangeable. They're pretty much interchangeable.
They're literally both interchangeable there. So like I said, so those are our picks for the MVP of the season. Now, MVP of the playoffs. So this is just last weekend.
Gotcha.
We're picking different people, but they're from the same team and they play together.
Yeah, exactly.
So Victor has Ernesto. I have Luis Charles.
The reason I don't like you pick LC is the reason of he's getting frustrated and stuck at that 20, and you had to give Ernesto credit that he's going to pump LC back up to back to the level in order to win. It was because of Ernesto being there.
My counter argument: LC is the only player in the entire playoffs who did not lose a match.
Yeah, but still,
but when Ernesto and Anne-Sophie lost in mix,
I know
LC won in his mix, and in the Dream Breaker against the Rollers, LC won his matchup clearly, whereas Ernesto technically lost his, even though it was only by 1 point.
Yeah, I know, but think about it also. The whole team was technically coached by Ernesto. Like the whole backbone of the team was Ernesto. Like everyone was just like when they're talking on the sideline.
That's the season that you can say the coach all you want, but the player still has to perform. And literally, if you're going wins and losses, plus minus, LC is 100 win percentage, and he has the best plus minus between him and Ernesto because he didn't lose, so he has no minuses.
I know,
I know. Like I said, they're a doubles pair. They play together. They play on the same team. They're on the winning team.
They're so close together anyway.
That's how close. Like literally, that was the thing when I went back and looked, because I had when the trophy was literally getting handed to him, I had two different players ask me, "Who's your MVP?" And one said one, and one said the other. And I'm like, yeah, that's literally kind of what I'm jostling with right now, right? So it's just like, so then it came down for me because they're so close. I was like, okay, well, what do stats say? And then I was like, oh, LC didn't lose a single game, and he won his Dream Breaker thing. So that was kind of the tipping point for me. Yes, Ernesto has like the calming presence and stuff like that, especially when they were playing men's together. But the one spot where Ernesto did slip up, where he lost his one mixed match, that's when LC won his mixed match, which forced the Dream Breaker in the first place.
Yeah.
Right. So like I said, we kind of. I love.
Yeah, we're just getting back and forth. It's basically the same player.
With this,
but anyway.
But yeah, so those are our picks, guys, for the awards for this season. What did you guys think? Let us know in the comments. I would love for a bunch of people to jump on this and have a debate. If you have someone who we didn't pick, who you thought didn't get enough recognition, let us know. Like I said, we kind of did a combination of analyzing stats, watching it in person, watching the videos, and kind of using what we thought stood out. But something else might have stood out to you, so let us know.
Oh yeah, it'll be fun. Hopefully, people will say I'm more right than Andrew.
I won't be upset either way. Like, as engagement is engagement. Like, if you want to call us an idiot, call us an idiot. Keep the comments like PG. But if you disagree, let us know. And I would love it if you disagreed and then also gave us your reasoning for who you picked.
It'll be good that you put a little bit
for any of these awards. Yeah, for any of these awards, like if you say no, I thought it was this person, give us a reason why. And I would love to hear. I love debate. I love debate whenever it went proper debate, not like just because I disagree with you, I hate your guts and stuff. Not like what you see nowadays on the freaking internet. I like proper debate where we respect each other's opinion and we actually debate points.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, let us know what you guys think. So that wraps up the CNPL 2024 season. I know that free agency and trades start up in January next year. So we'll be paying attention to that because I'm interested to see which teams move some stuff around.
They will need to. Some team like especially the Rush, they're gonna have to do something.
Yeah, Rush will probably make
Smash. The Smash, another one that will say they need to do something about their male pairing.
Yeah, Smash will need to change up. There's teams that have like one or two, like almost too many good players. And you're running into that problem where someone's not getting floor time. So that's now a trade ship that you could trade and maybe get a different piece type of thing. Like if you're the Wolverines, okay, are you going to keep, like if you want to keep, say, Natalie and Ava, are you going to develop them, or do you want to maybe trade one of them to complement the one you're keeping, or are you just gonna, or do you want to get rid of both and then draft brand new and see if like another stronger female pops up on there, or if like say like you said, like for the Smash, you're probably going to keep Christina and Kim, right? So do you keep Dalbeer or Nathan? Do you keep one? Do you let both go and then re-sign differently, and so on and so forth like that? So really interesting to see how that works out.
All right, so a lot of people actually welcome. During the weekend, I already brought all my paddles, but for some reason, I already have that reputation of having all the paddles with me. Like all the other pro players, like Eugene, Sonny, they came to me. I was like, Victor, I know you have all the paddles. Can I try those paddles? I was like, oh, yeah, I'll go. I'll bring it tomorrow. And then, anyway, so the paddle that got the most traction is this one, the Proton. Like everyone, yeah, everyone was like, can I try the Proton? Can I try the Proton? I was like, okay, sure. So what's interesting with that Proton? That's the Proton Series 1. Obviously, this is the one that Android Daisuke from the PPA use. So the one that we say, they have pine tar or stuff like that. No, obviously I didn't put pine tar on it. But yeah, it was very interesting paddle, because if you touch the paddle, it's like smooth. Like smooth, very smooth. But if you touch it even closer, it feels like almost like a ping pong paddle, like a ping pong rubber paddle. That's how it feels. And then that's what if you look at ping pong, how much spin they're generating, right? That paddle has exactly about the same texture, and that's probably why this paddle can be still like has much more longevity on spin compared to the others, because it's not relying on grit, it's relying on the rubber that is on there. So that was I really like this paddle. I'm still trying to get used to it, because I can get some very nice shot, like especially slides, topspin on it. I'm still a little hesitant on some of the backhand rolls when I was at the volley. Because some reason some shot was going well, but some shot was not going well. But like dinking, resetting, very nice. That's probably why that Daisuke, not saying that Daisuke is not good, but with the by complementing with this paddle makes him even better, and that's why he's now one of the top of in the PPA.
Nice.
Another paddle that I have, another weird paddle, basically like nothing special on this paddle. So people is on YouTube.
Oh yes,
If you
you
check
showed me
on
this.
it. Yeah, so it's called the Reload. You're like people's if you look at it like nothing special. Why are you showing me that paddle? If you look at it, this paddle, I can peel the surface of the paddle. So basically, this paddle, what was great is a lot of people like the Vatic. They're complaining after like maybe 3 months, grit is gone. I have to buy a new paddle because I don't have any spins anymore. Well, we won't have this problem with that paddle. Okay, it's a little bit in the expensive side. It's about $200 US. But what you can do is you buy the sheets. It's about $20 each. You just replace them. Your grit is gone. You just replace it, put a new one. So every time you will have a new sheet, and you don't need to buy a new paddle. So that was a very interesting concept that they did, and the paddle actually performs pretty good. I will say it's a little bit a poppier Vatic Chris, still leaning towards the control paddle, but with enough pop that is giving you the plow fluid as needed. So that's another very interesting paddle that the Reload came up. That's the only shape, the hybrid shape, the shape that they have. That's the only shape they came with at this moment. Maybe eventually they will come with the other form option, because otherwise they won't sell, unfortunately, with just this one.
Yeah.
Couple paddle just came in actually today. Nothing special. It's just the graphic that was nice. I talked about last time the Spartus Apollo. And so if you're watching us on the YouTube channel, you can take a quick look. This is the Spartus Apollo Dragon edition, because we're in the year of dragon, right? For China, if you're Chinese, so it has a very nice, cool dragon graphic with a nice gold and red on it. Very nice paddle as it is. Anyways, not very expensive, since into the $100 US. And anyway, if you have my discount code, you will bring down below the $100 US. My discount code is very easy. Chan, CHANPB. You can use it. It will give you a 10% off.
Make sure I stick it in the show notes as well.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, just very just a nice looking paddle. I would say still into the control oriented, a little bit pop, but not like poppy. It's not like Gen 3 pop that you have. This paddle, I felt like I was just Jessica Kawamoto. I was able to reset any ball with that one.
Nice.
Maybe I don't play like Jessica. I'm not saying I'll become Jessica. All right. And then one last paddle I'm going to talk to is 11.6 2024 Monarch. That paddle got a lot of traction because of the shape, and it's very also another paddle that's very cheap. Is into the $100. Same thing. I have discount code for this one. Chen BB. They have different version. This is they call the control version, which is the Kevlar version. One of my friend Corey has called the Jelly Bean version, which is the Gen 1.5. I felt that was way too poppy. I didn't really like it because when you're in this shape of paddle, you want to be more like a control paddle, and that paddle was like so poppy. I was like, what is going on? Why am I using this paddle for pop? Anyway, and then they have another version which is just normal carbon fiber version, which they call the power version. Same shape, but I will say, but from the other one that they have to call the Hirachi X, which is the hybrid version, I like the Kevlar version because it feels so much better, and the control of this paddle is phenomenal. I really like it. Other than that, the paddle, I received a couple of things just behind me on the Selkirk part of it. Let me bring it closer. I got it now. So I think they're still online. If you can snatch them quickly, they're still on sale. Selkirk Lab make the 001 shoes and the 002 shoes. Unfortunately, they didn't get the traction they need. They're selling like into the $200. Like people's like, you're never been into the shoes. Why am I buying a $200 shoes? I have no freaking idea how does it perform, right? So it never got the traction they wanted. Now they're just clearing out their inventory. They have only in size 10 and a half. I'll just show you quickly. They are pretty nice. They look pretty nice to me, like a pretty regular horseshoe. Now they are selling at $50 US, which is
wow.
so they're so good. That's that price. And if some people has like some coupon, because here, especially in Edmonton, there's a lot of Selkirk ambassadors, stuff like that, and then they have either discount code or gift card. Use them. You can use them on them. That's another type of shoe. So I bought two pairs, the 001 and 002. I have some. I did. Yeah, that color looks like nicer than the other one. They only have size 10.5, just for information. So if you have a larger shoe size or smaller shoe size, sorry, you're out of luck. But other than that, it was $50. You cannot go wrong, right? I'm just like, whatever, let's buy.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So other than that, no, I do not have much more to come. There's some more paddles that will be launching soon. So people that like the carbon true form will be coming soon, probably in the November time frame, which is like the rival of the Yola Gen 3. So keep that in mind. The rhombus ripple will be coming up soon. You'll be saying, well, what was this paddle was delisted? Yeah, it was delisted, but now they're able to relist on the USAP approved list. And apparently that paddle already have a lot of good review. It will be launching on late September. Same thing, another Gen 3 paddle, so it will be super powerful paddle that will be coming up. So that's stay tuned to those paddle. Other than that, we're gonna hit the holiday season. So if you're not in rush of buying paddle, maybe just hold off, because during the holiday season they always have to have big discount because of the end of the year. So that's my suggestion if you're not in rush. And they say anyway, in Canada we're in down season. We don't even have tournaments, so why you're gonna buy new paddle?
Yeah, exactly. And Anivia is going to be rolling out a new paddle. I want to say, if not the end of this year, at the beginning of next year. They're testing it right now over at their stuff in Asia, because they have a they have a huge following over there. I want to say Taiwan.
Yeah, it was Taiwan.
Yeah, yeah, and they've gotten so big over there now. They've got like teams of pros winning like all the Asian tournaments and stuff like that over there. So yeah, and they've already told me they'll send me one of these paddles. I want to say it's like a carbon and Kevlar combination. So I'm really looking forward to that one. I got my new Voltex Gen 3, which if you watch the video when we do pros versus Joes, both me, Nathan, and Eugene are using that paddle.
Yeah, only me was changing paddle on like 50.
Yeah. You'll watch Victor use 3 different paddles in that match, but
exactly.
But yeah, so we'll get Victor's codes. We'll stick them in the show notes. Of course, my Anivia discount will be in the show notes as well as it always is.
I just want to give a last shout out to one of my dental assistant giving me that cup, the Pickleball Legend cup.
Yes, absolutely.
I will stick that in there. Thanks, Bea, to giving me that. Now you're on the show.
There we go. Awesome. So moving on, you got anything coming up, Victor?
End of my tournament season, unfortunately. I think, Andrew, did you just blank?
Oh, 1 second.
Yeah, you just get you're out. Oh, okay. You're back. There we go. So
okay. 1 sec. We'll just restart that and then I'll cut it.
Yep.
All right. So moving on. So Vic, you got anything coming up this season?
Not much for me. I'm pretty much done for the season, and I'm leaving to Ontario on Saturday. I'll be teaching with the military some dentistry stuff in Ontario. So I'll be playing some pickleball over there. They have a pickleball club over there, the Barrie Pickleball Club. So they have been nice to invite me a couple of times, and this year they same thing. They invite me to go play with them. So it'll be fun. We'll play some more with them. We'll see how it goes. The winter time, I don't have much. So usually there's pretty much the downtime. There's not much tournament going on. I know in Edmonton they have the NAPP coming up soon. The NAPP tour, they got pushed out. So for people that just sign up on the NAPP for the amateur part, that's supposed to be, I think, this weekend. They just got pushed all the way to the end of September. One of the reasons is I went to the YEG club to see, okay, how's it going. They just literally just did painted and then still drying. They just still have fan drying. So I was like, ouch. That's gonna be probably another 1 to 2 weeks before they're gonna get started. So that's the reason why I think the NAPP tour has to get pushed. So far the registration does not look too good yet. There's not a lot of people got registered at this point, but maybe it will ramp up eventually. So we'll see about that. Unfortunately, I won't be around, so I won't be able to do some updates and stuff on it. That's unfortunate. Other than that, we know that the EPC is going to do some monthly non-sanctioned tournament in their club. So we'll maybe I'll chime in one or two times to see those tournaments. But other than that, it's going to remain pretty quiet for me. How about you, Andrew?
Yeah, so yeah, like hopefully the NAPP has it on YouTube or something so we can at least watch some of it and see how.
I really doubt it.
Well, because seeing how it's in the YEG and the YEG has those courts with cameras, you think it wouldn't be that hard to like just do a live stream.
Yeah, that should be okay, but the courts are not even up yet.
No, yeah, exactly. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see if that even ends up going ahead. So no, yeah, for me, actually, at almost the end of September, Irene is competing in that USA Canada.
Yeah, that's true.
That women's pro-am event in Okotoks.
Yep.
So we're gonna be driving down for that, and so I've got my ticket spot and stuff. So maybe I'll do some updates from there on like Instagram and things like that. Because I know like for our Canadian pros, Kim Layton's gonna be there, Casey Rogers, Jessica Kawamoto, Caitlin Soroka, some of our senior pros, and I apologize, I don't know them all. I know Pam Clark, Tracy Bennett, of course. And that's going to be on Tracy Bennett. I think it's called Tracy Bennett Pickleball is what the YouTube channel is called, and they're going to be streaming the events on there.
Yeah,
So,
that'll be good. That'll be fun. Did you get an invite by Jonathan Strom for that tournament for
I
Red Beer?
did, yeah, but it's kids have volleyball season has started and swimming season has started. So
That's too bad.
my availability changes a lot in the winter. I'm hoping to make one of the Edmonton Pickleball Center's tournaments, if not the October one, like a November or December one, depending on weather. Because they're doing it every third weekend, as far as I remember from their post.
Yeah.
And it starts in October. So yeah, because my daughter starts volleyball up. They just had their first tryout yesterday. Tryouts finish, I want to say Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, and then like the first tournament is like the very next weekend.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah.
and I'm expecting her to make the team. She made it last year and she's gotten better. And then Irene is probably going to be helping because Irene, if for those of you who don't know, Irene used to play university volleyball in the Philippines. So usually they bring her into not head coach, but like assistant coach and help with like skills and developments and stuff. So she says, and like she usually says, so yeah, like she doesn't necessarily make every practice, but she can usually go in and help them with that.
Yeah, that's why you should never give Erin an overhead, even though she looks not look short.
She's 5'2", 5'3", but yet she can jump higher than me. So
yeah, she will smash.
Yeah, never lob to Irene.
No, not a good idea. Love Andrew.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can lob me a little bit. I still usually reach it just because even though I'm 6 foot, I got like the 6'2" plus wingspan. So I got the big shoulders and the long arms. So didn't help me enough for college basketball though. 6 foot is still stupid short for college basketball.
Yeah, it's too bad.
But yeah, so aside from that event, yeah, just our winter club starts up here. So I'm gonna get lots of practice in because we're gonna be doing like 3 to 4 days, sometimes 5 a week.
Wow.
Because we get the rec center here and we have booked time, so that starts up I want to say in 2 weeks. So aside from like if the weather's nice, we go to the outdoor courts here in Peace. Once that starts up, we're going indoors and going nuts. It's not the greatest floor, but we still use an outdoor ball just to kind of keep up with the speed, so we get ready for tournaments and stuff. So it skips a little bit, but then you get used to serve returns that skip and stuff. So so it helps with that. But yeah, aside from that, that's about it. Unless a random tournament pops up that we somehow can book off and go to. But other than that, probably nothing until actually, not that I'll be going to this, but I know the CPA.
Oh yeah, it's about to remind you about that one.
Yeah, CPA is going to be in Montreal. I want to say they're aiming for November. They haven't announced a date or a location yet, but I want to say it's in Montreal, as far as I know. Take that with a grain of salt, everyone, just because, like, from what we've heard through the grapevine and stuff, we know it's in November. We know it's in like Montreal/Quebec area. But we don't know like location yet or anything like that. But keep an eye.
Looking for the location. Just trying to secure one.
And that's the thing. That's the difference with CPA and CNPL. CNPL, you only need like 3 courts, right? So you need
much more court than that.
Yeah,
because you have amateur and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly, right. And it was funny because talking to UE, so aside from being one of the founders and owners of CNPL, UE is also one of the founders and owners of the CPA Tour. And like he said, with very minimal advertising, they still ended up having, what was it, like 400 people at the CPA Toronto?
500. He said 500. And
500.
Pickleball bracket also have 500. So it was like,
right. So it's like, and that was with very little advertising. So So for those of you who are maybe from Alberta, that's the amount that we had at provincials.
Yeah.
So for that, you need like 20 plus you need like 25 courts ish. And that's and the way they do it is it's like a 5-day event, right? Because you're doing like the pros are playing like 1 or 2 matches a day, and then you have championship Sunday, just like PPA does. So to have that many courts, it's a little bit hard to find locations, especially in Canada when it starts to get a little cold.
Oh yeah, it's going to be snowing, I think, in that time.
So they're probably going to need to find like a tennis center or something like that, where they can get those courts down, or like a trade center. something along those lines, right? So, but looking forward to that. I can't wait to watch that. The last event was really fun to watch. There was a lot of good pro games that they had on the stream.
It was well done for first CPA matches. It was good. They put it on YouTube, so it was great.
Yeah, exactly right. So yeah, looking forward to watching that when it comes out. There's going to be some more stuff from us, guys. We made some higher up people pretty happy with what me and Vic have been doing. So nothing is solidified yet. Nothing is
nothing's concrete, but
nothing's
hopefully
concrete. But there's hopefully some good things on the horizon, and we might get to go to a lot more stuff and be able to have more access and stuff like that, which will only make us being able to be even more in depth on like events that we cover and stuff like that. So, so yeah, looking forward to that. So that's probably it for this one. I think we'll probably not have to do another one until probably in October, Vic, because I'll do a recap of like that the US Canada Women's Pro-Am event.
Yep.
But that's at like the end of September. So I don't think, unless there's like a big breaking news item for like say CNPL or CPA or NAPP, anything like that, or even like say like Global Pickleball Federation, anything around that. Well, if it's big enough, we'll do a podcast reaction to it. If not, we'll do like just a quick like 3 or 4 minute video where we respond to it on like Instagram or something like that. So, but stay tuned, everyone. The main part of pickleball season is done, but there's still lots of cool things happening. So,
thank you for sticking with us. This has been a long podcast, but we have a lot of information that we have to convey. Sorry about that.
No, yeah, and we only do like a super long one, like once or twice a year, and it's usually when we recap the final of something. So it's been awesome. All right, thanks everyone. We'll see you guys next time.
We'll see you next time. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment down below. What's your favorite player of the CNPL?
Absolutely.